believe that some of you out there can hear me. Is that correct? I hear one person that says that they can hear me. So I welcome you all to this evening's edition, March 29th, 2016, Spirit Speaks Radio with Spirit Man Joseph Tittel, and that is me. Welcome everybody to the show tonight. I am going to skip daddle ado over to YouTube just to make sure that everything is working there. Let's see here. I am trying desperately to make sure this is all working properly so that you can hear me no matter where I happen to be or where you happen to be. So let's see here. Oh, Lordy, Lordy. Oh, believe this is happening. I believe it's happening. It is happening. It is really, really happening. So anyway, as I skedaddle and skedoodle over here to figure out what is going on with my system right now, I think that I would not doubt that the government's blocking me from broadcasting this show because they know what I am trying to do. And that is to warn you all about their little plan that they have going right now. So let me see. I'm trying desperately to try to figure this out because I cannot believe that Blog Talk Radio isn't working again. Like, what the hell is wrong with Blog Talk Radio? Well, anyway, for you people that are listening on Blog Talk Radio, I don't know what's happening when you call into the show, but when you call in, it's not showing up on my switchboard at all. And either is the music options for me to play music, no matter how many times I refresh and how many times I try to do this, it's just simply not working. I will continue to keep trying. You hear me on YouTube, just not on Blog Talk. Okay, well, that's a good sign. You can hear me on YouTube, but does anybody hear me on Blog Talk Radio? The radio that just works so great. It just makes me want to stick around forever. I am still on. You can hear me on the phone line, but can you hear me on the live feed on Blog Talk Radio through your computer system? That's what I would need to know. That would really help me to understand whether I am doing this correctly or not. Now, you should be able to see me. There we go. You should be able to see me on YouTube. Hello, people. Mind my mess behind me, but my office is a little out of order right now. So welcome you all, and thank you so much for being a part of my show this evening. I am going to put this out there for you all so that you can get directly to my link on Blog Talk Radio. Let's see. Let me get that out there for you all. There you go. There is not a Blog Talk Radio's phone number is area code 929-477-3054. That's 929-477-3054. That is the telephone number for the radio show. Call in, see what it says. Again, you're not showing up in my queue, so when I do take calls later on this evening, I'll probably end up using my office phone, which is going to be difficult because I'm not going to be able to have a switchboard to have people on hold, and we get hundreds of callers every week. So other than that, I figured I'm going to switch over to YouTube because it just seems to be much better. But now you folks on YouTube, I don't see anybody in my YouTube chat room. So anybody out there? Anybody out there? Does anybody see me? Out there in radio land, out there in YouTube land. I just put out my I just put out the link to the YouTube page where there's also a chat room. If you're signed up for YouTube, you should be able to chat in the chat room no matter what. So I don't know. I don't know if people that are not signed up to YouTube can chat in the chat room. I've only used the YouTube option once. So I am now doing it for my second time. So again, I had just put that link out on my Blog Talk Radio chat room. And so let me put that out there again. Go to this link. Go to this link. And hopefully you'll be able to see me on that link. I'm going to try this again. Make sure that we're online. All right. Perfect. But I don't see anybody in my chat room yet. I still don't see anybody in the chat room. Oh, leave it to Blog Talk Radio to screw up a night where I really wanted to do something interesting and different. But I'll hang out with you for a while. I ain't got no plans, nowhere to go, nothing to do, but be here with my lovely friends and fans out there that I am so grateful to have you here with me tonight. And as I'm chit-chatting with you, trying to figure this all out, because I thought it was figured out before I started, but maybe not. So you are saying hi to me in YouTube, but I cannot, well, I am not going to see you, of course, but I should be able to see you in the chat room, in my YouTube chat room, but I don't see anybody in my YouTube chat room. Actually, let me try refreshing the page. Maybe that'll do something for me here. I still see nobody in my chat room. No active stream. Can you folks really see me on YouTube? Can you, that's so weird. You can see me. You can see me on YouTube for sure. Yes. Answers, please, in my Blog Talk Radio chat room. Because for some reason, again, I swear the government's screwing up my computer system on purpose because they don't want me to be doing this right now. They don't want me to be telling you what's going on in the world. They don't want you to know anything of what's going on in the world right now. So with that, I welcome you all to Spirit Speaks Radio live on YouTube as well. So let's see here. Don't mind my mess back over here. That's just a little bit of stuff for taxes that I have to get done, and I'm just sweating it out because I'm so over the tax man right about now, along with the government and everybody else along with that. So my microphone is there, turn camera on, everything's working on my YouTube page, on my broadcast page, but I still do not see anybody in my chat room. So this is very, very strange because I can't do anything with the chat room if there's nobody there to chat that I can't see. Well, anyway, let me just do this anyway and move forward so that we don't waste any time, because I have lots of things I'd like to talk about this evening, and I would like to take your calls at some point in time as soon as this thing gets it together. What probably ended up happening with Blog Talk, besides the government blocking me out, is the fact that I had a delay tonight and had to rush home. I was running so behind, and so I had to push the show to 8:30, and they wouldn't let me do two shows at the one time, so I had to delete the one and go in and do a whole nother broadcast at 8:30, and I set that all up for 8:30, which seemed to be good and going, and it shows me that I'm on connected and all, but I had to I tried calling in and it kept telling me I was already on there hosting when I'm not on there hosting. So I don't know. I don't even think it's a Mercury retrograde yet. And we're already having problems. I think we're in the pretty close to the retrograde, the retrograde thingy. It's coming up, the pre-retrograde, that thing. So with that, let me try to see if I can get you all figured out. Now, nobody in the chat room was answering me. Let me go back in the Blog Talk Radio chat room. Yes, there is a YouTube chat room. I can see you on YouTube, and we are talking. Woo! Perfect. We can see you nice and clear. Yes, I see you on YouTube for sure. I can see you on YouTube and the chat. I wouldn't doubt for a second, truth or not, about the government blocking me out. Oh, I have no doubt. What's the number? The number for the radio show that you can try calling into is area code 929-477-3054. That's 929-477-3054. Call that number and see what it does, please. And let me know in the chat room exactly what that number does, because chances are I'm going to take calls later, and it's probably going to be through my office line, which is going to be a little challenging and difficult. And it's definitely going to be the first one that gets through is the first one that gets through. And also, if you call into the radio show, if you're having a problem listening online, you could just call in and listen by the phone. Again, 929-477-3054. So again, I welcome you all to this evening's edition, March 29th, 2016, Spirit Speaks Radio with Spirit Man Joseph Tittel. That's me, Spirit Man Joseph Tittel. And I thank you all so much for being here with me tonight as I toast you to my decaffeinated coffee. So with that, I have a lot of things I want to talk about with you this evening. A few things that seem to be a little bit disturbing to me, actually. But the thing is we have to do our best to focus on ourselves and preparing ourselves for what could and will happen, and eventually in time, it's going to happen. So let's see. Oh, open chat in the new window. Hey, I just found a chat room. Woo! I'm so excited right now. Oh, yes. Yes. Now let's see. Say something. Something. Hi. Hi, people. Hi, lovely people. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I can't spell, but it's a little hard to do 5 things at one time. So there we go. So for Blog Talk Radio, again, you can try calling into the show, but I'm not seeing anybody in my queue on my switchboard at all. It's like my switchboard totally disappeared. So you can try calling in, but again, you're probably not going to get through it. I'm not going to give you the number to call in until I actually take phone calls, because otherwise my office phone's going to blow up, and I don't want it to blow up because I just don't want it to blow up. And I do have to plug it out in at some point, or I'm never going to get through to anybody because my phone's about to die. But I'm looking for a new method anyway of changing over and changing away from Blog Talk Radio. And it just seems to me that every week I get pulled further and further away from Blog Talk Radio. So with that, this is interesting because I didn't know that I could block people on YouTube. I can report them for their nastiness. I didn't know all about that. So if anybody's giving anybody problems in the chat room, please go somewhere else, because we don't need you feeding trolls in here. Go somewhere else. Find something better to do with your time. We are all about positive energy, bringing in the love, bringing in the light. And really those here that are here to listen to me in my show are here to do that exactly. And if you have a problem with it, again, click on your little mouse button and close the window, because we'd rather not have your negativity here to begin with. But, you know, if you could actually keep your mind open for a couple minutes and actually listen and hear me out, maybe you might actually tend to come back again and actually like what I have to say, instead of being so judgmental as people are when they hide behind their little computer screens. You hide behind your little computer screen and you troll out people, and you do nothing but put out negative energy to other people. And you got to remember that every little thought that you have, every little word that you say, every little thing that you type on your computer creates an energy. That energy goes out to the universe. The universe receives that energy, acts upon it, and sends it back to you up to 10 times worse. My favorite example are people that bitch and complain all the time. We all know somebody like that. So when you bitch and complain all the time, the universe receives that information, says to you, oh, okay, here, let me give you more to bitch and complain about. And the universe just continues to give you more and more to bitch and complain about. And it's really that simple, but we humans have such a hard time processing and doing that. Or we've all had this happen to us at some point in our lives, where we went through something and we said to ourselves, or we said out loud, I've never been through something so hard or so challenging or so difficult in my life. And then soon after, within a month or 4 to 6 weeks later, you get hit even harder. And you're like, oh my God, already, what the hell? And what that is because, again, that little energy you put out there, that I've never been through something so difficult in my life, the universe says to you, oh, really? Let me give you something more difficult than you are going through now. And then, bam, we get hit even harder. And then we're like, oh, God, give up already. And that's what happens. And, you know, it's not your fault, really. Technically, it's the fault of the government and those who have been controlling you for the past 100 plus so years. And they've been working on this plan for a very long time. They've been very successful with every aspect of their plan, almost up to this point. But there is a positive about this. And the positive is that things are shifting and changing. And we do still have time and opportunity to make things go in a completely different direction. It's really up to us, and it's really in our own hands. And I'm going to talk to you about that just a little bit more in just a few minutes. But again, being that I just got this thing working and figuring this all out, I want to welcome you once again to my show, Spirit Speaks Radio. I am here every Tuesday evening, usually at 8 o'clock o'clock. And if I'm by myself, it's usually either 8 to 9 o'clock or 8 to 9:30, depending on my mood and how much energy I have for the evening, because it is the end of the night for myself. And when I have a guest on the show, it's usually from 8 to 10 p.m. You get an hour of my guest and an hour of myself. Tonight, I'll be here. We didn't start till 8:30. So I'll be here till at least 10 o'clock or at least 9:30, probably 10 o'clock, maybe even a little bit longer. Depends. Because I do want to take some of your calls at some point this evening, because I appreciate you all tuning into my show. And I want to be able to help at least a handful of you guys and girls out there before we move on to the rest of our week. So Spirit Speaks Radio. Again, my name's Joseph Tittel. I've been working professionally as a medium for over 3 decades. I started doing readings when I was on a professional level when I was just 19 years old. And I started actually reading the tarot cards when I was about 12, 13 years old, probably 13, be on the safe side, probably about 13. And my mediumship abilities I had when I was a little boy, blocked them out when I was about 9 years old. And that all came back to me in my mid-20s. A lot of it's in my book, and in my book, you'll find my whole story about everything. Messages from the other side. Messages from the other side. The story and life of Joseph Tittel. Now available at Amazon.com for $14.99 plus shipping. Or you can go right to my website. Get it through my website. Or you can see me in person, and I'll even sign a copy for you. And I'm working on my next book soon as I get a chance to do that. But I am behind, and there's so many things I have planned out. And before my next book, what I have planned out for you all is coming up with a course of the summer because I have fans all over the world, which is so awesome. I actually did a reading on Skype for a gentleman the other day in India. I have tons of clients in Japan. I'm probably more famous in Japan than I am in the United States. So it's such an honor and such a privilege to have that opportunity to connect with people all over the world. And my goal is not just to do readings for people and help guide people through their lives, but my goal is to help people on their spiritual journey and to inspire them and help them open up to their own abilities that we all have, because we are all psychics and we are all mediums when it comes to ourselves. But that does not mean that you're supposed to go out and be a professional reader or a professional medium. That's just not the case at all. And there's so many people out there now that all of a sudden everybody wants to be a medium. Everybody. And years ago, when I would tell people I was a psychic medium, they'd be like, "What's that?" And I'd have to explain it to people. I would say spiritual medium, and they just had no clue. But when I put psychic medium in there, at least they got some of it. They know what the psychic aspect of it is, but not the medium part. And this was 20 some years ago. And now the word medium and mediumship is a common everyday word that people know, and they know what a medium is. So it's just kind of interesting. It's been an amazing journey for me. And so again, y'all that are new to the show, I've been doing the radio for at least about 8 years now. I started off on WBCB radio in the Bucks County, Pennsylvania area. And then I launched the second show called Journey into the Paranormal here on Blog Talk Radio. And I did that because I wanted my Philadelphia radio show was on at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, evening, borderline. And I wanted something later because a lot of people couldn't listen during that time. And then I had people out of country that wanted to listen and didn't realize that they could do so through their website. But anyway, excuse me. So I decided to launch a second show, Journey into the Paranormal, for Tuesday evenings. So at one point I was doing 2 radio shows. I was doing one every Tuesday at 4 o'clock and then another one Tuesdays at 8 o'clock. 2 shows the same night, same day. And the one on Blog Talk Radio, Journey into the Paranormal, actually took off huge, much bigger and much better than my 4 o'clock Philadelphia radio show. So eventually I dissed the Philadelphia radio completely and stuck with Blog Talk Radio and my radio show here. It was actually when I was on WBCB when they asked me if I could come up with a list of predictions for the new year. And this was probably right around December, maybe November, right around Thanksgiving. And this had to be probably about 7-8 years. It was maybe only a year after I started doing radio. And I said, well, I never actually sat down and compiled a list of predictions before. It's just not something I ever tried or done. But I'll give it a whirl and see if I can do it and see what I can come up with. Because here's the thing. Years ago when I would read people, I would put out the tarot cards and I would tell you this is what's going to happen. period. And in my mind, I thought that's exactly what was going to happen. And there was no way of altering that or changing that it was written in stone what was going to happen. And sometimes I would think to myself, good luck with that one, because sometimes it wasn't good. I remember one time in my early 20s, I was probably about 22 years old, maybe actually even younger. Maybe I wasn't even 21 yet, maybe about 20 years old. I was doing a reading for somebody at a house party. And I literally, first and the only time I've actually seen somebody that didn't have a future ahead of them at all. It was very freaky, very creepy, and there was no future. And I also saw murder in their cards, and detailed murder. I mean, I saw the whole thing playing out in my head during her session. So I kind of figured that putting the pieces together that she'd end up being a part of a murder or being murdered and end up deceased. Of course, I'd never told her that. I probably made something up. God only knows what I told her, because it freaked me out so bad. And that's the way it was for me back in the day. I thought it was written in stone and that's what's going to happen. But I found that I was so wrong in doing that. And I would never say that to a client now. I would tell you right now that this is what's going to happen in your life at this point in time if you keep doing everything in your life exactly the way you're doing it now without making any changes whatsoever. So in doing so, then yeah, if everything sounds good in your reading, perfect. Keep doing everything exactly the way you're doing it. But if things come up that you don't want to see happen, you can definitely shift it in a completely different direction. We actually have many different potential futures, and we all have intuition, and our intuition is actually our spirit guides and guardian angels giving us the best direction possible to help us on our journey. And again, we also have many potential futures, and we have many different spirit guides, guardian angels, and spirit helpers in the spirit world, and they're there to help you on your journey. Do you know those thoughts that pop up in your mind out of the blue? We all get them. We all have those little voices in our head that talk to us all the time. Maybe not as much as they talk to me, but they're there. And those voices in your head most of the time are your guardian angels and spirit guides, except when you're driving into fear or worry, concern, or any of the negative emotions, then that's usually yourself. But overall, a lot of times it's your spirit guides and guardian angels. And how many times have you said to yourself, I knew I should have did that. I knew I should have did that. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? Why didn't I do that? We do it all the time, do we not? And the reason we do that, and the reason that happens is because your intuition, when I was younger, I had a bit of an ego and thought I knew everything, like every 20-year-old. And I thought my psychic abilities was like this mug right here, this big old lion mug. And this big old lion mug is my mug. And that's my psychic abilities. That's my intuition. And nobody else has this mug. Nobody has an identical mug like this. There are some people out there that have mugs similar to this, but not exactly like my mug. And then when I was in a room full of people, it would be like, I have this mug, but nobody else in this room has this mug. And that's why I'm here to do my readings, because you don't have the ability to do so. Only I can, because it's a gift. God gave me this gift to utilize to help others, which I do believe that aspect, but I don't believe any longer in the aspect that we don't all have psychic abilities. We all have this mug. Everybody has this mug. But the thing is you away so deeply in your curio cabinet down there inside your soul somewhere that you totally forgot that it even existed. And being that we were all programmed wrong from the time we entered into grade school, when they told us that George Washington was the first president of the United States, forgetting to mention the fact that there were 3 others before him. Yeah, because they program you and tell you what they want you to know and what they want to tell you instead of telling the actual truth. So that first instinct, that first thing that pops up in your mind out of the blue is actually your guardian angels and spirit guides telling you what you should do, giving you the best direction possible to help you on your journey. And again, we have many different potential futures. And here's the way Spirit showed it to me. And I'm explaining this. I know I talked about this probably a couple weeks ago on the show, but I'm bringing it up again tonight for a lot of new people that are on YouTube that have never listened to the show before. And I'm a little tired, so bear with me. I've been on the run since 7 o'clock this morning, and I was running to get here to get to the show on time. So I'm a little tired. I'm drinking decaffeinated coffee. It's not going to help much, but if I would have drank caffeinated coffee, I'd be up all friggin' night. So your intuition, your psychic abilities, again, is your guardian angels and spirit guides, and we all have them. Nobody's limited. Everybody has at least one spirit guide and guardian angel, and you have a guide that's been with you since the day you were born, your master guide, as we refer to it as. And you have spirit guides from every dimension, every kingdom. So you have spirit guides from the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the insect kingdom, and they're all there to help you with different aspects of your life. But we weren't taught how to access that information. We weren't taught how to utilize that in our lives. So those thoughts that pop up in your mind, the first instinct that you have is always 100% correct. But you say, God gave us balance with everything, good and bad, positive and negative. There's good and bad in everything. Look at religion, for example. We have Christianity, which is the good, the positive. The opposite of Christianity is actually Satanism or devil worship, which was invented by Anton LaVey back in the 60s when he created the Satanic Church and the Satanic Bible out in California. Anton LaVey did that to rebel against the church, and probably because he was probably controlled into doing so. And he created a whole satanic revolution going on there, where people all over, especially in the 80s, it was huge in the 80s, huge. And I remember there's a place up here in Philadelphia that was called Byberry, which recently they built over it. And Byberry had all these underground tunnels and such. And the Byberry was where they used to keep the loonies. The loonies. That's probably where they would have put me a few years back if I was alive back then. They would have either stuck me in a paddock room with the loonies at Byberry, or they would have thrown me somewhere else or killed me, burnt me at the stake, or put me on tons of medication. That's probably the choice. They'd actually put me on tons of medications, or they would lock me up in the loony bin. So I fell into these abilities at the perfect timing in my life. And I'm sure they would still love to throw me in the loony bin, but there's not many of them that exist anymore because people aren't as loony. They just have issues that need to be tended to. And if you tend to your issues, you can be healed. It's pretty much that simple. And nobody out there is issue free. Everybody has something that needs to be worked on. But most of the time, people don't want to work on their stuff at all. And you can't help other people until you help yourself first. And I have a few friends like that, that are all about helping everybody else, but never actually take time to work on their own issues. And when you bring it up to them, they get all offended, want to start a war with you, and don't want to be your friend anymore because you called them out on it. So I don't even bother. I don't even go there. But again, your first instinct is always 100% correct. And you have to pay attention to that and start programming yourself to remember this, and to start utilizing it to the best of your ability. And now we have the awakening happening on the planet, this huge awakening, which is awakening your abilities even more. So what Spirit showed me, and I think this is really interesting, because I lived inside my box, just like everybody else. I lived inside my box for so many years doing my work and not really exploring outside of that box. And it was only about back in 2012, after going through major things in my life, that I started to ask questions to Spirit, instead of just allowing what they give me all the time, to actually ask them questions. And I started asking, and I probably drive them friggin' nuts about now. But it's also helping me with writing my next book as well. And I found so much more out about our journey, our spiritual journey, than I actually even thought that I knew. So what they explained to me, and I thought this was a really easy way of explaining, is we come into this life with a book, a big book, way bigger than this, a big, fat, thick book filled with chapters. And in that book of life are chapters that are the worst of the worst, your greatest fears, your greatest worst things that you could ever live in your life, the life you would not want to live. It's in your chapters. You have the mediocre chapters. And then you also see my doggy. He's so cute. And then you have the chapters that are the best, the happy, the joy, the bliss, the actual chapters that you're actually trying to reach as a human. Because you're not a human having a spiritual experience. You are actually a spirit having a human experience. And as a part of your human experience, our goal is to reach the level of love that we get when we die and go to heaven, or the spirit world, whatever you refer to it as. And in the spirit world, in heaven, there's absolutely no negative energy whatsoever. There's no sadness. There's no judgment. There's no hatred. None of it. It just does not exist at all. period. And I tell you, if it could, and if our loved ones were allowed to intervene with our lives at all from spirit world, I guarantee you the day after my mama died, she would have came down and said, Joey, play these numbers on the lotto. I know she would have, because she come to me many times already, but she never came to me with any winning lottery numbers because they're not allowed to. Now, if perhaps that was in the cards and that's in the chapters of my book to win, then in that case, yeah, she could come down and give me those numbers. But other than that, they're not allowed to intervene. And our goal, again, is to reach that level of love that we get when we die. And according to what you believe and such, there's only been a handful of people on this earth that have reached that level of love that we get when we die. And that love is amazing. And those people that have reached that level of love, we put on a pedestal and we refer to them as gods, when they're really just people just like us that were able to access those chapters of the book that were for the best and for the better. So some of those people would be Jesus Christ. Great example. Jesus is one of the best examples as to a human who lived the same love that we get in heaven when we die. Who else? Buddha, Mother Teresa, Gandhi. And there's just been a handful, just a small handful of those that reach that. And that's our goal, is to reach that level of love as well. So during this awakening on the planet, and there's a reason why I'm bringing all this up, so bear with me. It all leads into the New World Order and the global takeover that they're planning on doing. And you need to hear this. You need to know this, and you need to start spreading the word. Whether it's true or not, being prepared is better than being unprepared. That's for sure. So going back to the chapters of your book, the way Spirit explained it to me is, out of those 100 chapters, you only live 20 of them. And you actually pick those chapters as you go along. And what helps you pick the best chapters is whether or not you listen to your intuition, or whether or not you listen to the opposite of that, which takes me back to the balance of good and bad, positive, negative. In religion and everything has that, like Christianity with Satan and devil worship. And they worship a devil or Satan that technically does not exist. The devil per se, or Satan per se, is an invention of the Christianity, when Christianity began to evolve back in whatever hundreds that it started to evolve. And they use that as a way of getting people to convert over to their religion by installing fear into people, by telling you that you're going to burn in the horrible depths of hell as the devil and his pitchfork comes and stabs you with it. Like ridiculous. But yes, there is darkness out there, without a doubt. Again, there's balance with everything, good and bad, positive, negative. And if, I grew up Catholic, Catholic school, the whole 9 yards. And I always had a problem with it completely. And I didn't believe in any of it. I thought it was all just a bunch of baloney. And so I've had experiences that were mind blowing and kind of set me straight. Like when the Divine Mother Mary shows up in the corner of the room, it's time to step back and be like, oh my, you do exist, don't you? So out of those 100 chapters, again, you only live 20 of them, and you pick them as you go. And your guardian angels and spirit guides, your intuition, help you pick the best chapters possible. But as a part of that balance, you have your guardian angels and spirit guides, but you also have what I like to call the opposite of that, which I call the two devils on your shoulder: the fear and the ego. And the fear and the ego talk you out of everything all the time. No, don't do that. Do this instead. How many times have you said to yourself, I knew I should have did that? What the hell was I thinking? Why didn't I do that? I knew I should have did that. And why? It's because your intuition, your spirit guides and angels say, here, this is what you should do, Terry. That would be the best idea. And then that little devil comes in and says, nah, don't do that. Do this instead. And then we do this instead. And afterwards, we kick ourselves in the ass saying, why didn't I do that? I knew I should have did that. We do it all the time. Now that you're aware of that, just that awareness that I just brought you just now will help you on your journey. Once you're aware that those little devils exist and that your intuition is helping you with your best journey possible, then you can start recognizing that and telling those little devils, go back to hell where they belong. Because again, if you read the Bible, there's no mention of anything like that. There's mentions of Lucifer, though. And he was an angel, a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous angel who was cast out of heaven and cast back down to where? The planet Earth. And if you read the Bible, that and you pay attention and interpret it correctly, it's basically saying that God cast Lucifer and the angels out of heaven, cast them down to earth, which means that the planet Earth has been pretty much controlled by the great Lucifer for how many years, hundreds of years or whatever, 1,000 years, whatever it may be. So that's kind of how it really works. So we have an opportunity now. When I see somebody and I do a reading for somebody and I see something in that reading that again is negative or is something that they probably don't want to happen to them in their lives, options come up, different options to help them reach their fullest potential and the best potential future possible for themselves. And that's why I love doing life readings the way I do them now, because it's so much different than it was back in the day. And I would never say to somebody, this is what's going to happen. I mean, I would, but wouldn't. I'd say, yeah, this is definitely what's going to happen unless you make a change. And you make a change, then you're going to face what I just told you is going to happen. 99.9% chance it will happen. And that's why, again, we have our spirit guides and guardian angels, which you're supposed to utilize for yourself in your own personal life. And that's what screwed me up really bad as well. Because years ago, I would tell people, you can't read yourself. You can't do a reading on yourself. And you can't technically, usually you cannot, because you either read into what you're afraid is going to happen or what you really want to happen. You never actually read into the actual truth. So therefore, it's not really a good idea to read yourself. And back in 2012, when I was going through some challenges in my life, and clearing away some big things in my life, I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh my God, coffee break. I told you I was tired tonight. So yeah, when I was going through, my challenges and difficulty in my life, I actually decided to do a reading on myself. And what I did is I pretended that I was reading somebody else. I started my recorder, my voice recorder, like I would for a client. And I just totally pretended that there was somebody else sitting in front of me. And I did the reading. And when I do my readings, most of the time I'm in and out of a trance state. Not always with a life reading, but definitely when I'm connecting with deceased loved ones, because it's a total different train of thought. It's a totally different trance level of mind, level of consciousness, and it takes a lot more energy out of me. So, but very often during life readings, things will be channeled through as well. And when things are channeled through, I don't remember any of it. I don't remember any of it. It comes out of my mouth. The only time I do remember things is when spirit takes me there and I see the whole process happen. And it's kind of like sitting back and watching a movie. It's actually pretty amazing. And they'll show me the whole process of somebody's death, which I don't always want to see. And I've seen some pretty disturbing things over the years, especially when I worked for law enforcement on some cases. And that sticks in my brain. But overall, most of the time, I don't remember any of that stuff at all. So I sat down, I started my recorder, and I pretended I was reading somebody else. When I was all done, I went back and I listened to the recording, and I was like, oh my God, that's really good. That's really good. And I nailed it. I nailed the reading. And that's because I wasn't reading into what I was afraid was going to happen or what I wanted to happen. I read into the truth and read it as if I was reading somebody else. So I tell you this because we also, beings that our lives have different potential futures, I also truly believe so does our planet Earth. And so does the direction our planet Earth is going in right now. And we've been warned over and over and over again, especially by the Palladians who come from the planet Palladius, which is located in the center of Orion's belt and the stars. And if you align the stars of Orion's belt, again, the center of the belt is brighter than the rest. And that is where the planet, oh God, what's the name of the planet? It's not Palladius. It's called something else. Sirius, maybe. I forget. I can't remember exactly. But yeah. So I just lost my train of thought. Oh my God, I'm losing my train of thought tonight. I need to go to sleep. It's bedtime. Yeah. So I believe our Earth can go in different directions as well, actually. And we've been warned for the longest time. But the government and the elites that are controlling this world are keeping this from you, and they've been keeping this from you for the longest time. And they absolutely hate the internet. They hate the internet because the internet's growing and moving so fast that they can't keep up with it, and they can't block out everything that they're trying to block out. Don't be surprised if the show ends up disappearing, because I wouldn't put it past them. I put nothing past them, because I know without a doubt in my heart that they watch me. Maybe not like all the time, like follow me, watch me, but they watch what I'm doing. I know they do. I know they watch what I do, and I know that they watch my predictions, and I am what they call a whistleblower. I am a truth spreader, and they don't want people like me spreading the truth about what they're doing and what's going on. But again, I do believe in my heart that there's hope that we can make things shift in a different direction. And the only way to really do that is, first of all, focusing on ourselves, and just spreading the word, basically, and let people decide and do what they want to do. But at least you told them, at least you warned them. And my highest recommendation for you would be, again, to be prepared, because you just never know how things can happen and when they're going to happen, and they're going to throw you off guard. It's funny to me because on the internet, I never ever look up anything related to predictions or psychics or anything like that. I don't bother. I'm a psychic medium. What do I need to look at other people's stuff for? I don't want to. I have no desire whatsoever to mention or look at anybody else's stuff. But somebody mentioned a woman to me, which I'm going to tell you about in a few minutes, and a couple others came up over the years. And when they came up, I kind of dabbled and just kind of took a brief look at it. But it's very interesting to me how our predictions completely align with each other. Completely. And that's one of two things. Either they stole it from me, I stole it from them, or we're really, really psychically in tune, and we're tuning into the same energy. And chances are, most of them, not all of them, nobody stole anything from anybody. And I've been accused of it many times, of stealing people's predictions, which is ridiculous, because I'm the only one out there that puts them out live on New Year's Day every year, because that way they can't be altered, they can't be changed, and nothing different. And anybody, to me, whose predictions come out after that, they're probably sitting back waiting for me and others to put their predictions out there so they could steal them. And they do it. People do it. I had a woman actually years ago that actually, the dumbass, went on my website, copied my predictions, and pasted them to her website and called them her predictions. And the best part about it is, clients called and told me because they saw it. But the best part about it is, as some of you know that follow me, my grammar isn't the best. And I wasn't an A student when it came to English class. So, and sometimes spell check doesn't always check the grammar properly. Like sometimes I'll accidentally put plane instead of plane, like an airplane or a plain bagel, which is spelled differently, of course. Or then and then. I will go then, or then you have it. So typos and everything. She never fixed anything of my type errors, which was just so dumb of the woman. And then I call her up and she accused me of stealing them off of her. I'm like, lady, are you friggin' ridiculous? Number one, you posted them 2 weeks after mine were posted, so I couldn't have stolen them off of you. It's impossible. And number two, you forgot to fix the spell errors, you idiot. And she accused me of it, and I said, look, I'm not going to argue with you, woman. You did it. You stole it. You got 24 hours to get them off your website, or I'll just bring you down, and I'll let everybody know how much of a fraud you are. But now again, if you're in tune, and there are other mediums out there that I'm sure that do predictions that are in tune and are tuning into that same energy. And there is a universal energy in the universe that we can refer to as God or the divine. And we all of us have the ability to tap into that energy. Through prayer, meditation, and dedicating yourself to opening up to those abilities that are within you. And if we're tapping into the same energy, of course, we're going to get some of the same information. But being that I see things differently and hear and feel differently than others may, they may pick up on things that I wasn't able to pick up on, and vice versa. And putting it together, giving us more detail on those predictions. So again, I never look up anybody's or pay attention, but I will say that years prior to doing my predictions, I studied prophecy since I was a little kid. And my school teachers must have thought I was a wing nut when I was in grade school, because I would do book reports, because we always had to do book reports all the time. And I would do book reports on things like the Amityville Horror. I can only imagine my teacher, a 9-year-old, doing a book report on the Amityville horror. I'm sorry, but I just think it's hysterical. And I had an English teacher, Mrs. Trendler, in 7th grade, and I was slow. I was slow with grammar. I was slow in English. I was behind. I didn't realize until I was 35 years old that I have dyslexia and read things backwards. And if I would have known that when I was younger, I wouldn't be able to understand why I had such a problem reading books and such. But I still did it. But being I had Mrs. Trendler in 7th grade, I ended up having her again in 9th grade. So she would let me do book reports for extra credit so I would fail, which was just awesome of her. And she was the one that said, one day you will be an author, you will write a book, and it will be published. Because I would write short stories for her too as extra credit. Not just book reports, but I would write like a 3-page short story. And that's when she said to me, one day you will be an author, you will write a book, probably many books. And she was right. Best teacher I ever had in my entire life. She was the best. She was awesome. She worked with me. She took her time with me. As frustrated as it probably was for her, she didn't show any of that frustration. So that's the grammar part. So I started studying prophecy when I was a kid, probably in my teens, Nostradamus being the first one that I studied, which if you read a lot of different books on Nostradamus, it's just so funny how people twist his stuff totally out of the way. They twist it and they try to make it look better or try to make it look like he said things that he never said. People have done that to me, saying that I predicted things that I didn't predict, which is just funny to me. And I'll admit it, someone just did it actually the other day. I'm like, no, I don't remember predicting that, which is possible. I could, because as you know, most of you, when I'm doing a live show, especially on YouTube or Blog Talk, when I do my live prediction show, I have a script that I go by from the recording of all the meditations I did for my predictions. But as I'm going through it, I get more information comes to me. So that more information ends up going into my live broadcast. So people have been asking me for my written predictions, and my written predictions are not out there. And I was really hemming and hawing back and forth about getting them out there. And I have made the decision that I'm going to put out the rough draft of the script that I used the day I broadcast my show. It's going to be things in that aren't going to be things that were on YouTube in the live broadcast that aren't going to be in the written script. But I'm going to put the written script out there, and it will be available hopefully sometime next week for a small purchase of $4.95. And the reason, and folks, as much as you might think I'm stoned, as you keep saying, sorry, but those days are over. I don't get stoned anymore, and I don't do drugs, and that's very offensive to say that to me. And if you don't like the way I look, then go somewhere else, because I don't need you being here accusing me of being on drugs when I'm not. That really annoys the hell out of me, actually. Maybe you're the one on drugs. Maybe you're the one that needs to go smoke a joint, because my smoking joint days are over. Thank God. That shit clogs up your brain. And I wouldn't be able to do the things that I do if I was all clogged up. So anyway, going back to the predictions and such. So I'm going to have a rough draft that'll be available, and there's a reason why I am going to charge for it. The reason being is I noticed that everybody else does, and I do this for free for every year for people. I spend a lot of time, and I find the older I get, the more precious I find time to be. So I don't listen to them. I'm just making a statement. Yeah, hell with those people. They're just jealous anyway. And yes, I'm tired. And if my eyes are glossy, it's because I've been up since 7 in the morning, and I am not an early bird at all whatsoever. And I could lay back and go right to sleep right now. But anyway, I lost my train of thought again. Damn it. I hate when that happens. Predictions. We talked about predictions. What was I just saying before I was just totally thrown off by those idiots? Oh my God, that was so funny, Cosmic Carrie. I won't repeat it on the air, but that was really funny. I'm sorry, you made me laugh. I just looked up and I just saw that, and it just made me really laugh. Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, there's always trolls out there, people. And most of those trolls, believe it or not, a lot of them are psychics that are jealous of me and they go on and try to trash me. I've caught them. And, I have a tracker on my site and I can go on my tracker and I can find the IP address and find out exactly where they're coming from. And I've caught several psychics. I won't mention any names. One, I did a TV show once upon a time who thinks that she's the best psychic in the world and she's actually a big fraud. But yeah, they go on and they listen to my stuff and whatever. I'm honored that you feel a need that you have to listen to my stuff. So you can copy. Who knows? Who cares? But anyway, moving right along.
90 seconds.
Blog Talk Radio is telling me I have 90 seconds left. Well, Blog Talk, you suck and I don't like you anymore anyway. So you can take your 90 seconds when my screen says, by the way, my screen says I have 42 minutes left in my show. They're telling me I have 90 seconds left in my show. So, folks, go away from Blog Talk Radio right now and go over to my YouTube page, to my live feed on YouTube, because that's where I'm going to be for the rest of the night anyway. And the great thing about YouTube is they're not going to kick me off unless it's 8 hours, and I'm not going to be here for 8 hours. So they say I have 60 minutes left. Oh God, Blog Talk Radio, get it together already. I've been with you for 6 years and I'm about ready to get rid of you because you're just so annoying. You're so annoying, Blog Talk Radio. I wrote those people at Blog Talk Radio because when I left last year, they begged me to come back because my show was one of the top rated shows, spirituality shows on Blog Talk Radio. Begged me to come back and even offered me the full package for free to come back every month. And the full back package is supposed to cut out the commercials and all that stuff, which I already pay for. But they offered to do it for free. So when I decided to come back, I noticed that they were still charging 10 seconds. Shove your 10 seconds, lady. They were still charging my credit card and still charging me when it was supposed to be free. So I wrote them a letter a couple weeks ago, and the response I got back was just so unprofessional and rude to begin with, and telling me, well, we never offered you that. Sorry. I have the email right here to prove to you that you did say that to me, your CEO or whoever the hell he is. You did say it to me. I have it right here, but they didn't want anything to do with it. So as far as I'm concerned, they're going to lose a lot of people. A lot of people are tuning away from Blog Talk Radio because they're just completely unprofessional. Whenever they did that switch or takeover and somebody else took over, the whole place is going down the hill. And I'd rather do it on YouTube anyway. But the only problem with doing my show on YouTube or doing it on a live feed is the problem is I don't have a phone number for you to call into. And therefore, I'd have to use my office phone number, which is a big pain in the neck. And I'd rather not have to do that. But it is what it is. And that's what I'm going to try it tonight and see how it goes. But I'd rather do my show live on YouTube anyway. The other thing too is when I have a guest on, that's going to be the only problem, is having a guest on and being able to have them on video as well. But what I'm thinking of doing is doing a pre-interview with my guests and playing that and then adding in me live afterwards. But we'll see what happens. We're working on it. But I have a lot of things in store, including the whole workshop program that I want to have out this summer to help you all on your journey. It's very, very important to start working on your intuitive abilities and opening yourself up to spirit, because it's going to help you do what you need to do and get where you need to go when this happens on the planet, because something's going to happen. Without a doubt, you all know it. We all feel it. We've been feeling it for some time. Even people that aren't into this or people that have no desire or interest in psychics or predictions at all, even those people know and feel that something's about to happen on the planet. People know it. They feel it. But it's a shame that they don't know the truth of what they're doing. So let's talk about that for a moment. So in my predictions, a few of my predictions just came true as well. One of those predictions was the, oh God, what's that guy's name? Oh, geez, Louise. The guy, the crack guy, the guy that was smoking crack, that's a mayor or whatever over in, I think, Toronto or wherever he's from. I said in my predictions that he would have a rough road ahead of him and he would end up dying. And he did end up dying. And I was really like, actually partially stunned when I first saw that. I just didn't expect it to happen as quick as it actually did. But it happens, and may he rest in peace. They really, really ripped that guy apart. Really, it's really sad what they did to him. Actually, really sad what they did to him. But that's what they do. That's what our wonderful government does. If they don't like you, and Obama, the great, wonderful president that we have, done a real good job at screwing us in every way he could. And you don't even know it. You don't know about the new bills that he passed and the new laws that he passed, including all they have to do is say you're a terrorist and they can throw you in jail for the rest of your life. All they have to do is accuse you of it. There needs to be not an ounce of proof at all. All they got to do is say, we have a fear that you're going to commit a crime and put you in jail for it. Kind of like that movie years ago. I think it was Tom Cruise in that movie where they hunted down people and locked them up before they committed the crime. So they were arresting people for crimes that weren't committed yet. So it's almost exactly the same thing. It's exactly what they're doing. And they're going to accuse you of a future crime and try to prosecute you or use that against you or lock you up for good. And it's mainly because they don't like you or you're a whistleblower or something along those lines. There's so much garbage out there on the internet. I did a little bit of snooping around before going into this. And there's just so much bullshit out there, excuse my expression, but there really is. And it's just interesting to me how many out there are trying so hard to install fear into people. And again, I've been accused of that as well, that, oh, you're putting fear into people, blah, 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 blah. I'm doing predictions because my clients and fans all over the world asked me to continue doing them. I was going to stop doing them completely, but I decided that because everybody asked me so much to do them, I continued to do them. And when I do my predictions, it's a process. And this is why I decided to go with the $4.95 charge for my written predictions. I spent literally, hours and hours, probably in all 48-hour a day work week and 7 days straight. So, a good 300 hours of work goes into it, at least 300 hours. I go through a whole process of prayer, meditation, creating sacred space, doing my offerings to the spirits, calling on them for their assistance. I go into a trance meditation to ask for guidance into the future as to what's going to happen in the world. And how that may be able to shift and change, if it is able to shift and change. I hold a recorder, or I set a recorder next to me, actually, and I speak about whatever I see in my meditation and trance. Then I go back and I listen to that recording after I'm done my circle and say bye to the spirit people. I go back, I listen to the recording, and I translate that into writing. So I have a script to look at when I'm doing my show live. As I'm going through and I'm listening and I'm typing, actually more stuff comes to me. So my predictions become even longer. And then when I'm on the show live with you all, more stuff comes out of my mouth, and things do just slip right out of my mouth. And those are usually the most accurate things of all, especially. So that's my process of doing my predictions. And it's a process, a huge process. It takes me weeks to do it, actually, weeks. And I try to wait to the last minute, because I used to do it back in October, prepare for the New Year predictions. And then things would end up happening that were in my predictions that I never got a chance to put out there to people. So that's why I decided I don't usually do it until right around Christmas, right before Christmas. I mean, I crunch it into 2 weeks or less of getting that out there. So with the predictions, the written predictions, again, beings that I put so much time into it, and beings that I believe that people have the opportunity to go on YouTube and watch it, or they can go on Blog Talk Radio and listen to the archive, or you can download it for free from iTunes, the predictions. So you can do it that way, and it's 100% free. If you want the written predictions, that's $5. To me, that's just for all the time, energy, and effort that I put into it. If you ain't got $5, just go on and watch it on YouTube. No big deal. And that's why I've come to that decision. And that's why it's been a while since I've been able to get them out there. Besides my prediction list was so long this year. The script is like 20 pages long. So therefore, it's just too much to put on my blog. And I didn't categorize them like I usually do. As you will see if you get a copy of those written predictions, which will be available again sometime next week. Just go to my website, josephtittel.com. That's Joseph, Tittel.com. I figure $4.95, $5. Just, it's not much. It's a little something, something. Chances are I'll end up donating it to some charity anyway. But that's just for my effort. And for those who keep insisting that they want my written predictions, well, now you can have them for $5. If you copy them, you post them, or they're anywhere on the internet, I will do everything possible to come after you for that. Because it's just not fair. It's just not fair, and it's just not nice. And again, you can watch them for free on YouTube. So speaking of predictions, let me tell you about this, because this is really kind of freaky, and it freaked me out a little bit, and it takes a lot to freak out Spirit Man. But there again, I see a lot of things, and I've been doing this work for so many years that again, it takes a lot to freak me out or get me uncomfortable. And a few things made me really, really uncomfortable. So let me actually start with my predictions so that I can share with you the compiled information that I got. So again, I studied prophecy ever since I was a kid, starting with Nostradamus. I read a little bit of Edgar Casey, didn't get deeply into him like I did Nostradamus, but there's also an author by the name of Mary Summerrain. I was actually looking for a book and I couldn't find it, and I think I lent it to somebody. Just double looking to see if it's up on my bookshelf, but I don't see it. The book is called Phoenix Rising. It's by Mary Summerrain. The book was written, I think, back in the 80s. And she writes the stories of a woman she calls No Eyes. And No Eyes is an elder Native Indian who had no eyes, obviously. She was a blind woman. I think it was just because of her age or something, I think, but don't quote me on that. And No Eyes was, I'm sure she's long deceased by now. No Eyes was an amazing prophet, psychic, and able to read the body, and she knew about the herbs and the oils and the things that you can use to help heal yourself naturally. She also wrote another book. Hold on, I'll show you. It's right here. Grab it. Another book that she wrote is, I just saw it here. There it is. This is a really good book. It is called Earthway. Earthway by Mary Summerrain. And this is a book all about body, mind, and spirit. She talks about all the different herbs and different things to help you with your body, mind, and spirit. It's an awesome little book. Big book, actually, but it's an awesome book. Check it out. But her book, Phoenix Rising, I haven't read the whole book in a while, but I read the back of it recently, maybe about 6 months ago, because in the back of her book, she writes what she calls the Earth Changes Chronicles, the Earth Chronicle. And in the book, she writes the prophecies of No Eyes. And No Eyes, when I first read that book back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, when I had my shop, you'd read the back of the Earth Chronicles, and she talks about the things that are going to happen on the planet, and basically in some type of an order. And back in the day, you'd look at it and be like, oh, yeah, that's possible. Yeah, sure, that's possible. Yeah, maybe. But there were no yeses. Well, when I looked at that book 6 months ago, it was like, check. Oh, that happened. Check. Oh, that's happening right now. Check. And it was kind of freaky, actually. A good freaky. I mean, because I do predictions too. So even when I have things that come true, it's kind of freaky to me sometimes. Like one time, years ago, I made a prediction that, because a lot of my predictions are big news stories. And one of my predictions was that a bus was going to strike a family at Disney World and end up killing one of the kids. And it happened. And that's just really kind of creepy and really weird and really specific. And it just kind of creeped me out a little bit. And I don't like to see anybody injured, anybody at all, even if they're jerk offs. Excuse me. But there's a lot of them out there. But I don't want to see harm on anybody, even if we might think for one slight moment that they might deserve it. But maybe they don't deserve it. So I always wish people good no matter what. So her book, Phoenix Rising, was one of the books I studied. A little bit about Edgar Casey. Another really interesting person that you should look into is Billy Meyer. He wrote a book, or he didn't write a book. There's a documentary called 2012 and Beyond, the Billy Meyer story. And his name's spelled weird. I think it's spelled Meier. Meier. Yeah, I think that's how you spell it, Billy Meyer. And I heard that he just died recently. He's from Switzerland, I believe. Switzerland, or yeah, I think it's Switzerland. But anyway, he's been getting visits by the Palladians since he was a little boy, and actually has photographs of this. And he has the best photographs of UFOs that exist at all on the planet that we know of. And you should see the pictures. They're amazing pictures, like detailed close-up pictures of these UFOs. A lot of these pictures, he also took film footage with his little handy film camera thingy, which was probably actually huge, because we're talking the 50s and 60s here when this all started happening to him. Maybe even earlier than that. I think he was like 5 or 6 years old when he got his first visits from the Palladians. And he talks about the story, and it's just really amazing, actually. And in his story, the Palladians started visiting him. They even took him back in time. And they took him back in time to the time of the dinosaurs. And he's got actual film footage of this through the window of the UFO. And they've had that film investigated or tested or whatever by Kodak Association and some other people. And all of them came up with the same conclusion, that there was no possible way whatsoever that the video or the pictures could have been hoaxed. Just no possible way, especially because of the dating of the pictures, how old they are, and the fact that we didn't have Photoshop and stuff like that back then to be able to do that. And in the visits that he's been receiving by the Palladians, he's been told about what's going to happen on the planet, and a lot about other things as well. Again, it's a really good documentary if you can get your hands on it. 2012 and Beyond, the Billy Meyer story. Amazing. Sometimes even hard to believe at points. But being that his film and all was investigated by Kodak and such and proven to be real and legit, it makes it even creepier. But one of the things is that they showed him the future and what the future looks like. And he said it was so disturbing that he won't even talk about it. He won't talk about it. He won't talk about the direction that we're heading in on the planet. He won't talk about it. And I can imagine why. Because if he sees things in his head like I see it, well, actually, he supposedly went into the future in one of the UFOs. He actually has pictures of him taking pictures outside the UFO with the UFOs flying next to him in the pictures as a team. And again, these pictures have been analyzed and everything else, and they are real and legit. Some of them black and white because they were taken back in the 50s. So they were there to warn him about what was going to happen on the planet and about the world takeover, and how they were going to trick people and to thinking completely different things. You got to know, folks, that the media, if you watch the news, 90% of all the news and all the media are connected to four corporations. And those four corporations own everything. The pharmaceutical companies, everything. That's why every other commercial you see on television anymore is a pharmaceutical commercial for drugs. Yeah, this may cause diarrhea and bloating and even death on some occasions, if not suicide. Yeah, just give me a whole handful of those, please. Friggin' idiots. And I can't believe they're allowed to even put that on television. You can't put a cigarette commercial on television, but you could put drugs on television, drugs that cause diarrhea, suicide, suicidal thoughts, and even death. Yeah, like I said, a whole handful of those, please. Pass them out to a lot of people. They'll take them. Oh, geez, what's our world coming to? So, yeah, those corporations control the media, and they control everything you watch, everything you see on the news and such. And they can fool you into believing anything, including the fact of believing that Obama's really a good guy and really on our side. So this takes me back to my predictions and what I've come up with recently that's disturbing, really disturbing. I discovered a woman, and I haven't completely delved into this too deeply yet because, again, the internet is filled with a bunch of BS. People twist things around. I've seen it done a million times with Nostradamus's predictions, where they twist it around and make it say something that the man never said. Never. Yes, he did predict Twin Towers in New York City, absolutely, without a doubt. And I said this back in the 80s and the early 90s, that I believed that there was going to be a big explosion or a bomb or something going off that's going to destroy the buildings in New York City. Because his prediction was very specific: fire from the sky, such and such and such at certain degrees. And it was New York City that he was talking about, that he referred to as the new city, which didn't exist when Nostradamus was around. But they twisted that around and said that he said the twin brothers and this, that, and that he never, ever even said. Same with the Bible. They twist that around. I don't know how many times people throw in my face that the Bible says that thou shalt not seek out psychics and mediums or sorcery. Yeah, that says that in your New Testament. That's been altered and changed to install fear into people, because all of a sudden people got even more fearful of psychics and mediums. Funny thing is I have clientele, so many clientele that are clergy in the church, especially the Catholic Church. One of my best clients, not best clients, one of my good clients that just wrote me a letter, and he's a priest at the Catholic Church, thanking me for changing his life through the messages that came through from his loved ones in spirit, which is just so amazing. I had a nun one time, a retired nun, who was for a reading, and the Divine Mother Mary showed up in the room. That's when I went out and bought a big statue of the Divine Mother and started praying to her every day. And even though I was brought up Catholic and don't believe half of what we were taught, if you read the Old Testament and the Old Bible, there's things in there that make complete sense now that I go back and think about it, and think about all the prophecies that I studied. And again, if you go back to the Bible does say that Lucifer was cast down to the earth, which means that he is earthbound. He's been here running this planet and running the show for a very long time. Well, also, we were all told that we were built in the image of God, which means that we are all gods and divine ourselves, which means that you sitting there praying, oh God, please help me. Oh God, please do something. Oh God, oh God, oh God. God ain't going to help you. You are the God within yourself. You got to help yourself. That's what God put us here for. God put us here so that we can learn that and do it ourselves. We are the only ones that are going to be able to save this planet. Us together as a team, as a whole. Even you trolls out there that are trolling on my YouTube page, you are a part of this too, whether you believe it or not. And then when it all happens and the shit hits the fan and you people are like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? I'm going to say, see, I told you so. I told you so, and you weren't prepared, and you trolled my website, and oh well, run for your life and scream like a little baby, because that's what you're going to be doing. And you're either going to be thrown on a bus and shipped to one of the FEMA camps that they built, or you're going to be killed, depending on what they really want to do. And it's not even going to be by our troops. It's going to be by foreign troops that come into our territory that Obama's already brought. Very disturbing that recently there were several military personnel who have stepped forward out of concern in complete privacy as well, because the camps, the naval bases, the military bases at nighttime are bringing in plane loads of Syrian refugees and Iraqi refugees, bussing them in or flying them in. And then they're giving them all IDs, passports, and social security numbers, and then putting them up somewhere. And they're not telling you about this. Why are they doing that? Why are they bringing all these people here and not telling us and hiding it behind our backs? Yeah, because Americans will probably flip the hell out. There's people on the streets in our cities, homeless, with nothing to eat, nowhere to go, freezing cold. And you're going to go feed these refugees and put them up in a place for free when you can't even take care of our own friggin' homeless people? What the hell? So I say that, again, I'm going to be very specific about this. I repeat, I am not a Trump supporter. I am not a supporter of any politician, because they're all liars. But I will say that if you were to pick somebody, Trump is actually the man, believe it or not, because Trump actually knows. He knows the plan that they have. He knows all about it. And that's why he keeps saying that he's going to shut off the borders, close them up completely, and ship all them people out of here. And there's a reason why he wants to do that, because he knows exactly what their plan is. And that's why the media, the four corporations that own the media that you watch every day is demonizing him, trying to say that he's Hitler because he put people's hands up in the air and made them make an oath. God, like, be for real. Compare him to Hitler? Come on now, for real. If you're going to compare anybody to Hitler, why don't you try comparing Hillary Clinton or Obama to Hitler? Because especially Hillary, look at all the people that she killed and murdered. Or how about George Bush Jr. for the half a million children, not adults, kids, 500,000 little Iraqi kids that were murdered by our government, killed completely. Under what? Under what justice? Because Saddam Hussein wanted to transfer his money and his oil into euros instead of the dollar that we have, the American dollar, being based on oil. And our government is like, you are not going to do that, period. And we're going to come and take over. And that's what we did. Just like Afghanistan, people think that's about oil as well. Afghanistan, that whole war in Afghanistan was about one thing and one thing only: the poppy fields, and the opium that comes from those poppy fields. Because somewhere along the line, when we were fighting in Iraq and killed 500,000 innocent children, somewhere in there, the Afghans threatened that they were going to cut us off completely from the poppy fields and the opium trade. And 90%, folks, ready? 90% of all the medications in this country, United States, that are made with the opioid drugs, oxycodone, oxycontin, morphine, and whatever the hell else that they make, along with the heroin as well. 90% of it all comes from Afghanistan, all of it. And the funny thing about that is our United States troops have been guarding those fields in Afghanistan since the war broke out in Afghanistan. We went in, we took over the poppy fields because our government says, you're not going to cut us off from those poppy fields. No way. We'll just cut you out completely. And that's what we did. And you ask any military soldier that's been in Afghanistan fighting, ask them if they knew who the enemy was when they were there. And ask them where they were sent to watch and what they were sent to do, to guard poppy fields. What for? And think about this, folks. If 90% of all the opium that makes the heroin drugs that come into this country come from Afghanistan, the same fields that our government's protecting, how the hell do you think the heroin gets into our country? How do you think it happens? How do you think it gets here? Because our government are the biggest drug dealers of them all. And they're trying to kill off the younger generation. Why? Because the younger generation, number one, so that they can't multiply anymore. So we can't have any more babies. Excuse me. That's why they've been spraying us with chemicals out the airplanes for so long to try to sterilize people. But they don't want our younger generation to be able to fight back when the time comes. They want there to be less of us because younger people are more resilient. Of course, they're stronger. They're supposed to be healthier and so forth. But to cut them off and stop them from completely having the ability to actually, yeah. So think about it. Does it make sense to you now? And now think about this. If there was a global takeover that happened, say tomorrow, say it all happens tomorrow, the financial system collapses, everything collapses, and all of a sudden people are fighting for food and water. They're breaking into the pharmacies to steal the remainder of the opiate drugs. And when they run out, you're going to have an awful lot of young people and older too that are going to be extremely sick because they don't have the drugs anymore in their bodies. And when they go through withdrawal from those particular drugs, the withdrawal sometimes is deadly. People actually have been known to die going through the withdrawal from just stopping all of a sudden. And that's what they want. That's part of their plan. It's part of their control plan. Keep you high, keep you nice and high. And then when they cut it all off, you'll be too sick to fight back. And you'll do anything and everything possible to make yourself feel better. And then they're going to throw you on a bus and stick you in a FEMA camp. Again, I'm not saying that this is going to happen now or in the near future, but it's going to happen. I mark my words. But again, here's where I say we have hope. I have hope because there's the awakening on the planet, and good is going to win in the end. It's not going to happen all overnight. It's going to be years of war, years of famine, and a whole bunch of other ugly things. But overall, in the end, good will win. And there will be a point on the planet where there is nothing but love, joy, and happiness completely throughout the whole entire planet for the next period of 2,000 years. So, or 1,000 years, one or the other. I forget exactly which one. And that's the next era or the next time period that we're going into. We're already in it, actually. We left the Pisces age. We're now in the Aquarian age. The Pisces age was all about do what you're told, follow the leader. And if you look back on the past 1,000 years, it's exactly what we did. We listened to what the churches told us. We listened to what the politicians told us, and we did exactly what we were told, and we followed the leader. But now that we're in the amazing Aquarian age, the Aquarian age is all about do for yourself, think for yourself. I might have got that backwards, but do for yourself, think for yourself, and not being controlled and doing what you're told. So it's completely different now. People are actually starting to think for themselves and do for themselves. That's another reason why the government's been trying so hard to cover the internet up or to bring the internet down completely, because there's so many ways of accessing information on the internet now, including this. But they just call people like myself conspiracy theorists to make you think that it's all a bunch of baloney and that we're just crazy people. Whereas there's truth in everything, all the rumors, even going back to Kennedy, because Kennedy actually was killed for a couple of reasons, but two main reasons that Kennedy was killed was, first and foremost, was he wanted to knock out the Federal Reserve banking system completely. And he says that, well, if this Federal Reserve can print money and they're not even a part of the government, why can't us, the government, start printing our own money and stop with them already? Why are we giving them bonds and paper and owing them money when we can print our own damn money? Well, that didn't work over very well because the Federal Reserve and the banking systems own everything, including you and I. I made a reply on somebody's Facebook page last week, somebody that's supposed to be a psychic, and he said something about Hillary Clinton and he's a big supporter, yada, yada, yada. And I left a comment and I said, aren't you supposed to be a psychic? Not to take offense to this or anything, but if you're a psychic, why are you such a supporter of the politicians that are out there running? Because you should know by now that your vote means absolutely shit. Doesn't mean anything. The only votes that count are the delicate votes that are controlled by the elite and the billionaires who paid for them all, that control everything. But they're not behind Trump because Trump won't allow it. So does so-called Bernie Sanders, which, again, if I'm forced to vote for anybody, I would be Bernie Sanders, because I would hope and believe that maybe he's being honest. But again, he's a politician. And have you known any politicians to do what they said they're going to do, to be honest with us like they say they're going to be? No, absolutely not. So therefore, he's just a politician. Donald Trump's not a politician. He's a businessman. So that is what would make me, I can talk, think that he'd be a good choice. Not that he's going to win anyway, because even if we all voted for Trump, I guarantee you without a doubt that if he comes even close to winning, they will kill him. They'll kill him. They'll knock him right out, just like they did with JFK. JFK also was going to release information about the truth about visitations from the Palladians and other alien cultures out there in the universe, and they weren't going to allow that to happen either. And the bill 011110, I believe, is the bill number. I think there's 5 ones, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think it's 011110 is the bill that was opposed, that was there to end the Federal Reserve and to have the United States government start printing the money themselves. That bill, after they killed JFK, that bill was basically just thrown off to the side and forgotten all about. Of course it was, because they control everything. They control you. They control all the corporations. They own the pharmaceutical companies. They own the media companies, and they can make you think everything. And it's just funny. So going back to the person that I left a comment on this page, and I said to him, don't you realize by now that we're all debt slaves to the government and the Federal Reserve? And he was so offended by the word slave that, like, he went off on me on his YouTube page and didn't, well, we need to talk about this in a different way or a different time. So I said, well, let's talk about it on my radio show. Why don't you come on my radio show and we'll discuss it all you want? I haven't heard from this person since. As a matter of fact, I bet you I'll put money on it that he probably unfriended me. Let's see. Did he unfriend me? Let's see. Oh, he didn't unfriend me. I'm really surprised. But I asked him to come on my radio show. I got a refusal because I haven't heard from him yet. But he was so offended by me using the word slave, which I didn't understand. Like, first of all, why should you be offended by being me using the term slave when that's exactly what we are? Slavery never ended. Slavery ended in one aspect and then went into a different type of slavery. We are all debt slaves to the Federal Reserve and the United States government, people. And if you're not a slave and you're not a debt slave and I'm wrong, then you stop paying your taxes. You stop paying your mortgage and you see what happens. That is control. That is control, and you having to pay taxes right there is making you a slave because they're making you do something against your will, against your free will, which goes against the whole topic of this being a free country. So there needs to be taxes, but not the way they do it. There's a better way of doing things and a much nicer, more pleasant way of doing things, but whatever. It's all going to collapse and fall anyway. Because it has to. So let me go to what I wanted to tell you is going to happen that I think is of the utmost importance, because it's really important that we prepare for this. It's better to be prepared than to be caught off guard. And again, we need to come together as a group and start to work together, people. We got to work together. Remember, we have many different potential futures personally. And therefore, the world, the whole entire planet Earth and universe also has the ability to shift and change. And that's what this awakening is all about. And if you notice yourself, your intuitive abilities are stronger than they ever been. You may be thinking about your deceased loved ones more than you used to. You may be feeling them around you more than you used to, seeing the shadow people out of the corner of your eyes more than you used to. I've even had some clients say, I swear they're trying to tell me something. Nah, they've been there all along, actually. It's just you're just now starting to recognize it. And it's all part of the awakening, because the first point in finding out the truth about things is to open up to your own intuition. Because all that knowledge is right there in the center of your brain, where your pineal or your pituitary, whichever one of those glands is. That's where your crown chakra is, and that's where all the information comes in from spirit world. That is your trance information from the spirit people and from your spirit guides and angels. That is referred to as your crown chakra. Then we have our third eye chakra, which is right here between the eyes. One's the pineal gland, one's the pituitary gland. The third eye chakra is where you get all of your intuitive abilities as far as clairvoyance and seeing into the future. All of your abilities to communicate with spirit, the spirit world, God, the divine, and so forth comes in through the top of your head through your crown chakra. And depending on what belief you are, the soul is set to reside in the center of our brain, which makes complete sense to me anyway. So anyway, that's what's going on. That's why they put fluoride in your water, sodium fluoride, that is. There's calcium fluoride and sodium fluoride. Sodium fluoride's the toxic crap that they put in your toothpaste and everything else to control you. It actually puts a coating around your pineal and pituitary glands, therefore blocking off your intuitive abilities, because they don't want you to know this. Last year at some point, they put out a frequency, some high-pitched frequency, to screw up psychics, completely screw up psychics, so that they couldn't tune in to what they're actually doing. But too late. They put that frequency out too late. We already know what they're planning on doing. I see the word bottled water in the chat room. I don't know what you said about bottled water, but that's a great example about the control and such. They make you think that you have to drink bottled water. You know, when I was a kid, bottled water didn't exist. It wasn't there. Wasn't there at all. And they make you think that because it's a money thing. It's all about money. And again, control, to make you think that you can't drink that water. Well, now you can't, because they put so much shit in it. It's ridiculous. Do you know in Philadelphia, they found 87 pharmaceutical drugs in the water supply in Philadelphia? one of the highest in the country. And you know what they say to you? It's because you flush it down your toilets. Don't flush your medications down the toilets anymore. So what are you telling me? I drink shit water? I drink toilet water? Is that what you're telling me? No, we don't drink toilet water. They put that damn chemicals in the water. They put those pharmaceutical drugs in the water. Come on, people, wake up already, for crying out loud. Now, yeah, pesticides are in water too. And that's not because they put pesticides in the water. It's just because they over pesticide this country, and now it's in our water supply. But pharmaceutical drugs, Prozac, Zoloft, all that crap, it's in your water supply in most places. Oh, excuse me, especially in Philadelphia. The city of Philadelphia, 87 pharmaceutical drugs. Now take a ride through Kensington, Philadelphia, and tell me that that's not a different breed of people out there. No offense to y'all there, but stop drinking the water and you won't be so different. But you can tell that it's different. People are different, much different. Their teeth are falling out, and yeah, some of that's probably from drugs. But remember, fluoride's supposed to be good for your teeth. Bull crap. Calcium fluoride probably is good for the bones and such, but not sodium fluoride. That's toxic chemicals. It's nothing natural about it at all. Calcium fluoride's natural. It's natural, comes from the rocks and the mountains and such, but not sodium fluoride. That shit is toxic. And it's actually why we have so many problems with dementia and Alzheimer's right now. Look back again in history. When we were kids, Alzheimer's and dementia didn't exist. Not like it does today. It's way worse today. And that's because it literally eats away the center of your brain where your soul resides. So yeah, it's like, wake up, people. It's time to wake up and get it together and realize what's actually going on our planet right now. I'm actually going to take a quick break because I want to get a couple things posted up on Facebook during my break. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to share with you the complete details of what I've received information-wise, and what I think we need to do together as a team. It's extremely, extremely important information, folks. So please don't go anywhere. Again, this is very, very important information that's going to benefit you. It's going to benefit your family. And it's just something that you're really going to want to listen to and be a part of, so that you can start to make a plan yourself as well. So again, I am going to take a short break, just a couple of minutes, just to get some water. Let my dog out. I can't say it or she'll start barking because she understands English very, very well, actually. So that's what we're gonna do, and then I will come back and continue with this little journey tonight. And at some point, I'll take a few calls. And I know I'm probably way past time, but I hope you don't mind hanging out with me tonight. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So continue hanging out with me. And we'll continue to talk about this because there's still a lot more to talk about. And I got to tell you what I learned recently that I've been so eager to do the show tonight to tell you about what I believe is going to happen and how I believe it's going to happen. And when I believe it's going to happen. Because, that's the one thing that throws me off a little bit about this, because I do believe that we can shift things in a completely different direction. And it's already a fact that we have already shifted things. We already shifted things. A lot of the plans that they've been planning are failing on them completely. Completely failing on them. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'll be right back. So don't go nowhere.
Karma, gut feelings, that little voice in your head. Spirit speaks to us in many different ways. And learning how to listen is the first step to finding true happiness.
It's not a punishment to be back here on the earth. It's really an opportunity for us to grow.
God did not put you here without having some sort of way of communicating to you. Everyone has that ability.
Our bodies are temples that our souls have chosen to be in. And there's a part of us which is alive right now in the spiritual realm. Our souls did not come back here by accident. We chose this time.
Welcome to Spirit Speaks with Spirit Man Joseph Tittel. For the next 2 hours, we will help you explore how Spirit speaks to you.
The answers aren't always where we think they are. Sometimes we have to look for the answers.
They use the word paranormal. It's not paranormal. It's perfectly normal.
Spirit Man Joseph Tittel has been communicating with Spirit and exploring the spiritual realms for more than 2 decades, making more than 100,000 connections with Spirit, helping to change the lives of thousands of people by offering help and comfort from the other side.
And it's taken me a long time to realize that there really is life after death.
The tremendous gift that you have and the way it can play such an amazing role in healing for anyone who has lost a loved one.
Each week, Joseph will bring you a new and exciting topic or guest, including James Von Prague, Lisa Williams, Allison Bogman, Dr. Bradley Nelson, John Holland, Dr. Raymond Moody, and many, many more.
Every medium is psychic, as you know, but not every psychic is a medium.
I've worked with many psychics and mediums throughout my career. I know a lot of them quite intimately. And I gotta say, you're one of the top best psychic mediums that I know. You're amazing. And when you make predictions, I listen, that's for sure.
By bringing through messages from Spirit each week, Joseph helps to heal the hearts of his listeners, one call at a time.
I listened to your podcast today for the first time, and I was amazed at how well you connected.
In order to connect with spirit, you gotta close down the brain and open up the heart.
What you think really creates your reality. And if people start to think, well, maybe there's more to this, maybe I really do have spirit guides and angels, maybe I really can get messages, then that begins to happen.
Tonight, Joseph offers you his many years of experience with Spirit, helping you to develop the tools needed to reach that happy, blissful place of understanding that we all seek.
We're these beings of pure energy. Everything is energy, and our thoughts are energy.
Join us now and listen to how Spirit speaks to you. Intuition, karma, gut feelings, that little voice in your head. Spirit speaks to us in many different ways. And learning how to listen is the first step to finding true happiness.
It's not a punishment to be back here on the earth. It is really an opportunity for our souls to grow.
God did not put you here without having some sort of way of communicating to you. Everyone has that ability.
Our bodies are temples that our souls have chosen to be in. And there's a part of us which is alive right now in the spiritual realm. Our souls did not come back here by accident. It's chosen.
Welcome to Spirit Speaks with Spirit Man Joseph Tittel. For the next 2 hours, we will help you explore how Spirit speaks to you.
The answers aren't always where we think they are. Sometimes we have to look for the answers.
They use the word paranormal. It's not paranormal, it's perfectly normal.
Spirit Man Joseph Tittel has been communicating with Spirit and exploring the spiritual realms for more than 2 decades, making more than 100,000 connections with Spirit, helping to change the lives of thousands of people by offering help and comfort from the other side.
And it's taken me a long time to realize that there really is life.
That you have and the way it can play such an amazing role in healing for anyone who has lost a loved one.
Each week, Joseph will bring you a new and exciting topic or guest, including James Von Prague, Lisa Williams, Allison Bogman, Dr. Bradley Nelson, John Holland, Dr. Raymond Moody, and many, many more.
Every medium is psychic, as you know, but not every psychic is a medium.
I've worked with many psychics and mediums throughout my career. I know a lot of them quite intimately. And I gotta say, you're one of the top best psychic mediums that I know. You're amazing. And when you make predictions, I listen, that's for sure.
By bringing through messages from Spirit each week, Joseph helps to heal the hearts of his listeners, one call at a time.
I listened to your podcast today for the first time, and I was amazed at how well you connected.
In order to connect with spirit, you gotta close down the brain and open up the heart.
What you think really creates your reality. And if people start to think, well, maybe there's more to this, maybe I really do have spirit guides and angels, maybe I really can get messages, then that begins to happen.
Tonight, Joseph offers you his many years of experience with Spirit, helping you to develop the tools needed to reach that happy, blissful place of understanding that we all seek.
We're these beings of pure energy. Everything is energy, and our thoughts are energy.
Join us now and listen to how Spirit speaks to you. Intuition, karma, gut feelings, that little voice in your head. Spirit speaks to us in many different ways. And learning how to listen is the first step to finding true happiness.
It's not a punishment to be back here on the earth. It is really an opportunity for our souls to grow.
God did not put you here without having some sort of way of communicating to you. Everyone has that ability.
Our bodies are temples that our souls have chosen to be in. And there's a part of us which is alive right now in the spiritual realm. Our souls did not come back here by accident. It's chosen this time.
Welcome to Spirit Speaks with Spirit Man Joseph Tittel. For the next 2 hours, we will help you explore how Spirit speaks to you.
The answers aren't always where we think they are. Sometimes we have to look for the answers.
They use the word paranormal. It's not paranormal, it's perfectly normal.
Spirit man Joseph Tittel has been communicating with spirit and exploring the spiritual realms for more than 2 decades, making more than 100,000 connections with spirit, helping to change the lives of thousands of people by offering help and comfort from the other side.
And it's taken me a long time to realize that there really is life after death.
The tremendous gift that you have and the way it can play such an amazing role in healing for anyone who has lost a loved one.
Each week, Joseph will bring you a new and exciting topic or guest, including James Bob Rock, Lisa Williams, Alison Wagner, Dr. Bradley Nelson, John Holland, Dr. Raymond Moody, and many, many more.
Every medium is psychic, as you know, but not every psychic is a medium.
I've worked with many psychics and mediums throughout my career. I know a lot of them quite intimately. And I gotta say, you're one of the top best psychic mediums that I know. You're amazing. And when you make predictions, I listen, that's for sure.
By bringing you messages from spirit each week, Joseph helps to heal the hearts of his listeners, one call at a time.
I listened to your podcast today for the first time, and I was amazed at how well you connected.
In order to connect with spirit, you gotta close down the brain and open up the heart.
What you think really creates your reality. And if people start to think, well, maybe there's more to this, maybe I really do have spirit guides and angels, maybe I really can get messages, then that begins to happen.
Tonight, Joseph offers you his many years of experience with spirit, helping you to develop the tools needed to reach that happy, blissful place of understanding that we all seek.
We're these beings of pure energy. Everything is energy, and our thoughts are energy.
Join us now and listen to how spirit speaks to you.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Spirit Speaks live YouTube broadcast. Because Blog Talk Radio wasn't being my friend tonight at all. Blog Talk Radio hasn't been my friend in a long time. So anyway, but you are all my friends, and I welcome you all back, you beautiful, amazing, wonderful people. So I am trying to find the link to this live YouTube page so that I can send people here from my YouTube or Facebook pages and such. But for some reason, I'm having an issue here. Does anybody in this here chat room have any idea what the link is to this live broadcast? Could you put that in for me? Being that I'm logged in under my own name, I'm logged into my own YouTube page. It's not letting me in for some reason. Of course it's not. Let's see. But if somebody could type that into me. Oh, what are you doing? Oh my Lord. Here we go. Maybe that'll work. We'll try that and see if that works for my YouTube. Y'all can still hear me out there, right? I just want to make sure that I didn't mess anything up on my break to warm up the last drop of coffee that I had. Good thing it's decaf coffee. Is everything working good out there, people? Nobody's talking to me anymore. We cannot send the address, Joseph. It won't let me post it here. Grah, grah. Let's see if my address works that I have here. See if it comes up. Yeah, maybe that'll work. We'll see. We'll try it and see if people are able to access it from my pages. But yeah, folks, please make sure that you go to the bottom of the page here and hit the subscribe. Please make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I'm going to be doing a lot more on YouTube nowadays. I don't know why I wasn't doing it in the past, but during the pre-holiday season, I did a lot more snooping around on Facebook and such. I mean, YouTube and, all around. And when I discovered the live YouTube feeds, thanks to some of my clients and followers out there for pointing that out to me, I decided to start doing more here. And YouTube is a lot of fun, especially being as I could do the live broadcasts. Now, if only YouTube could come up with a phone number thing that people can call me, it would make it so much better. And I would do all my broadcasts from YouTube. But I'm thinking that for now, being that Blog Talk pretty much pissed me off for the last time tonight, that I'm probably going to start doing my show on YouTube from now on in. I'll figure out the phone call thing eventually. But for now, I'm going to use my cell phone, my office phone for calls. But right now I'm looking for how I can turn off the call waiting so that people aren't constantly trying to get through when I'm on the middle of taking somebody's call. So as soon as I figure that out, I swore that it was turned off already on here, but it's not letting me do it. Does anybody know how to work these damn iPhones? How do I turn off this call waiting so that people aren't calling while I am trying to do calls? Oh, wait, I think I found it. Call forwarding. Nope. Call waiting. There we go. Call waiting. Turn that bad boy off. Yes. Yes, totally. So let me tell you a little bit about the New World Order for y'all that don't know about it. So do I have a dollar bill around here somewhere? Where's my dollars? Oh, on the back of a dollar bill, we all are aware of the pyramid and all that on the back of the dollar bill, which is tied to the Freemasons, which is also tied to what is called the Illuminati, which in reality is actually the Luciferians. And they are much different than devil worshippers or Satanists because, again, Satanism was brought about by Anton LaVey in the 60s, I believe, when he created the Satanic Church in California and the Satanic Bible, which when I was in high school, it was a bestseller. And I think I actually probably have a copy of it somewhere because I've read everything when I was a kid, but I think I probably threw it away and burned it. But yeah, so Luciferians are a little bit different, much different actually, and they worship the angel Lucifer, who was again cast down to earth many thousands of years ago. It has been running the earth since, and under different titles like the Illuminati, the Freemasons, and many other different titles. I highly advise you not to go dabbling into looking them up at all, because I guarantee you will begin to have bad things happen to you in your life. Just stay away. Know that it exists. Know that it's there. And know that they're controlling everything in this world right now. And they've been controlling everything in this world for a very, very long time. But their control, they're about to lose, and they know it. They know it's going to happen. No, they're not dumb. They've been smart enough to keep Americans dumbified for the longest time by spraying us with chemicals, giving us genetically modified foods that make people sterile. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. Aspartame, look up aspartame. That is just toxic poison that they purposely put in your food. They are poisoning you. They're connected to the medical community. They're connected to the insurance companies. It's all connected. And they want you to get cancer. They want you to get sick. That's part of their plan, because every single person that ends up with cancer is an automatic $1 million in their pockets with the therapy, the chemotherapy and everything. It's an automatic $1 million in their pockets. So they want you to be sick. They don't want you to heal. That's why the naturopaths who are healing people of every disease out there, including cancer, without medications and harsh, toxic chemo treatments. They are doing this, and the people are becoming healed. And that's why last year alone, more than 100 homeopathic doctors were murdered, killed, cut out. Many of them were told to make it look like suicide. That's one of the government's favorite things to do, is make it look like people commit suicide. One of their favorites. Or they just make you disappear completely. Whatever is easier for them. That doesn't cause too many red flags or going off. But yeah, they're controlling everything. Look at how in the United States they've been militarizing our police forces for the past 4 or 5 years, since 2012 or pre-2012. I saw one of the local police stations up here. They had a tank, literally, it looked like a tank, all metal. What the hell does the local police station need a tank for? For the takeover, of course. But the thing is it's not going to be the government. Our troops aren't going to come and start killing us. So our troops will turn around and start shooting the government. So they're just going to ship in other troops from different companies. You know, they're legalizing marijuana just to help dumbify people a little bit more, keep you stoned, keep you happy, keep your mind off of what they're doing. Everything is to take your mind off of what they are doing. And they've been doing it for a long time. Looking over in I forget what country it was, just recently. They killed 8,000 little boys and girls, 8,000 little kids. They lined them up and killed them. Why? Because they are the children of tomorrow, and they don't want the children of tomorrow. Look up the Georgia Guidestones. Very disturbing that is, too. The Georgia Guidestones are these big monolithic stones that were just put there out of the blue. Still to this day, nobody knows, supposedly, who put them there, how they got there, and why they are there. But on that, look it up. You'll find it online, the Georgia Guidestones. And the Georgia Guidestones talk about their whole plan. And part of their plan is keeping the population under 500 million people. That means that 6.5 billion people would have to die. 6.5 billion people. I think there's 7 billion on the planet. So 6.5 billion, they only want 500 million people to be alive. 500,000. Yeah, wait, 500 million. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. 500,000? No, I can't even remember now, but something like that, some ridiculously low number. And they actually talk about their 10 commandments, so to speak, of the New World Order on their Georgia Guidestones. Why is it there? Why did they put it there? Deep down inside, it makes me think that they want to warn some people and keep some people alert, but not all of the people. And why is that? Why are they being selective, so to speak? Also, look up the Ozark Mountains in the center of the United States, the dead center of the United States. Therefore, it's right in the center. So everything that happens around the coastal lines, you're pretty safe if you're in the dead center of the country. There is an underground city there that they say does not exist. It doesn't exist. It's not there. But Jesse Ventura drove right into it, and he drove 30 miles into the tunnel, deep down into the earth. But it doesn't exist. It's not there. There's an underground railroad system that runs from the Ozark Mountains, probably to the White House and Area 51, and probably all over the country. And the trains that they use, train, is one of those super high-speed trains that we don't even have in our country. The one that you just saw recently in either China or Japan just started running this new super speed train. It kind of looks like one of those trains. There's pictures of this. There's pictures of these underground cities. Some of these underground cities hold 10,000 people or something like that. And you can see at the outside of these tunnels to get into this city, all these trucks going in with food and water on them. And why? Where are they going? It doesn't exist. Remember, it's not really there. It's not there, but it really is. So look up the FEMA camps that they've been building all over the United States. There's a FEMA camp in Alaska that holds, I think, 500,000 or 1 million people, something like that, some ridiculous amount of people it holds. And it's in Alaska, and the cold, horrible place of Alaska. And they have these FEMA camps that also do not exist all over the country that they built. Go look them up. You can find a map of them. They don't exist, but there's pictures of them. Airline people drove over them and took pictures and video of them, but they don't exist. They're not there. Look up the caskets that they found in North or South Carolina on this farm property. A trucker turned in down this dirt road to turn around and figure out where he was or what he was doing, and he stumbled upon this farm, hundreds of acres just lined with these caskets. It's real tall, probably 10 foot, stacked about 8 to 10 feet tall. And they call them casket liners that fit 3 to 4 people in each one, depending. If it was kids, they probably could fit 10 in each one. What do they need them for? Why are they there? What do you need casket liners for? The United States government, why do you need 10,000 or however many thousand of them that were there? There were a lot. And as soon as they broke the story, the very next day, the government was there picking up the caskets and moving them to another place. Does that not tell you something, people? So you look up New World Order, you'll see that all the Bushes talked about it. Clinton talked about it. They all talked about it before. Creating one new world order, one new world government, a government that controls the whole entire world. One government, one religion, one form of money. That's it. Control over the whole entire planet. And with less people, the easier it is to control. See? And what they're going to do is they're going to allow chaos to break out on the planet while they run and hide under their little underground cities, while we sit out here and end up dying and killing each other. why they stay protected in their little underground cities that you need a ticket to get into, and you're not going to get nowhere near those mountains weeks before this even starts to happen, because they will have those people in those underground cities weeks before their plan goes into form. Also, look up CERN, the Hadron Collider, that they're colliding particles, atoms at high speeds with each other to try to come up with the God particle. Why do they need the God particle? Wonder why. Well, we live in God's matrix right now, and this does sound just like something out of the movie The Matrix, but it's truth. And we live in God's matrix, and look at what they're doing to God's matrix right now. They're ripping it apart in any way possible that they can do it. They're ripping apart the rainforest. They're destroying everything, the ocean, everything, because they want to create their own matrix, the Lucifer matrix, of course, the luciferian matrix, where they will force all of you to worship their religion, their one world religion, their one world government. Again, it's all part of their plan. I believe that their plan is going to end up failing, but I said in my predictions years ago, and now as time goes on and progresses, I'm able to start putting the pieces together. So years ago in my predictions, you may have remembered me saying that the Pope that we had last would chicken out and end up leaving before his papacy was up. And that happened. He did chicken out and he left. And now we have the current Pope. I said that the current Pope that we have, I said before he even was the Pope, that the current Pope would chicken out, back out, and a new Pope would come into play. And that new Pope would end up being the last Pope that we have before the collapse of the Catholic Church and Christianity. And I said that again years ago. And people once again said I was crazy and I'm a nutcase and blah, blah, blah. You said that too when I said that Japan was going to get the worst tsunami in history. And they did 3 months after I said it. Less than 3 months after I said it. So I'm not so crazy when the predictions come true, but then they say, oh, well, you didn't say that exactly. You didn't say it exactly like that. You said it a little different or whatever. Be skeptical all you want. I really don't care. I do this because it's interesting, first of all, especially being I studied prophecy for so long, and then to be able to do predictions myself and come up with such good information, it's just amazing to me. So I like to continue to do it. But also it's amazing to me to be able to know what's going to happen ahead of time. And again, I do believe that we can change this and shift this if people would wake up and start to realize this. Trump, actually, again, he knows all about what their plan is. He knows what they're trying to do. He's in on it. He's definitely, that's the reason he decided to run for president, actually, only because he wanted to save his family from the global takeover. And knowing that, and that's why he said and keeps saying that he wants to close off the borders completely and ship out everybody that should be shipped out that has anything or could have anything to do with the group ISIS and all of that that's going on. And they're all over our country. And I would not doubt at all, and nothing against religion, nothing against the Muslim people, but there's, again, good and bad in everything, positive and negative in everything. So you have the true Muslims, the good, the positive, then you have the not so true ones, which are actually the Luciferians, who pose as Muslims. Some of them pose as Christians as well, to throw you off from their plan of worshiping Lucifer. And as a part of that, they believe that they want to create the Lucifer matrix. And in order to create a matrix, they need to come up with the God particle. And that is what CERN is all about. But now also outside of CERN in Switzerland, I believe it is, everything's in Switzerland too. You ever notice that? There's also the seed bank that they put in Switzerland. There's actually 3 of them, I believe, all over the United States. And I think one's in the Antarctic, but they have these seed banks that they created. And these seed banks contain all the seeds of every plant and vegetable they could possibly find, to preserve and to hold into these seed places that are supposed to be bomb proof, nuclear proof, and they keep the seeds good indefinitely. Why would they feel a need to do that? Why do you feel a need that you need to reserve? It's almost like Noah's Ark, exactly like Noah's Ark, but with plants instead and trees instead. Why would you need to do that? Well, they need to do that because after they destroy most of us, they're going to eventually come out of their little hole in the ground and begin civilization once again. And in order to do so, they're going to need to grow their own food and such. So seed banks is going to be a great opportunity for them to do so, especially being most of the stuff that we eat is genetically modified crap anyway, especially the corn or anything with corn in it. Just about all the corn that you eat has genetically been modified that the pesticides actually grow within the seeds. So they don't even need to spray pesticides anymore. It actually grows within the seed. That's kind of creepy. I think that's very, very creepy. So recently, so going back to my prediction, I predicted that the Pope that we have now would be the last Pope that we have before the fall of Catholicism and Christianity. I had a friend years ago, Tracy. She's not my friend anymore, but she was actually my ex's friend. Thank God, because literally I couldn't stand the chick. And I had to pretend to be her friend because it was my ex's best friend. But she was just one of those know-it-all. And she's a smart girl. She's definitely a smart girl, but one of those know-it-all that you're not right. You're not right. Even if you are right, you're wrong. And I remember that she went at my throat when I told her that Catholicism was going to completely collapse and that the Pope was going to chicken out. This was before the Pope chickened out. And I don't even remember what she said after that happened. I don't even know if she was around still. I think I was still with my ex. And it happened. And she still argued with me till she was purple in the face that that'll never happen. The Catholic Church will never, ever fall. Yeah, just like they never thought that they were molesting little boys and little girls either. Most of the little boys, now did they? But it did, and it happens. And look what happened to the church. It almost collapsed already. And their attendance at church is down like 80%. So it's going to happen. But here's what really, really creeped me out about the whole entire story. I just discovered this woman recently that I'm not aware of complete at all. I never even heard of her. I had a client in India, awesome client, and I was doing a Skype reading for him when he brought her to my attention. He's also a follower of my predictions. And he said that I need to read it because it really coincides with my predictions. And her name is, they call her the Blind Prophet. And she lived to be in her 80s or 90s. She died in the 1990s, the late 90s or mid to late 90s. Before she died, and again, I don't know how much of this is completely true, because the articles that I wrote from the research that I did on her, being that I've never heard of her before, the research that I found about her, most of the articles were recent articles that were written within the past year. So that's just one part that makes me skeptical about it, because it was all just posted within the past year. And, you know, those people out there that just love to install fear by telling you that the world's going to come to an end tomorrow. And they do it every single year. They pick a date every single year. Right now, it's the end of April, early May that they're saying that the world's going to come to an end as we know it. And the interesting thing is that these are the Christian, radical Christians out there that create these YouTube pages and put all this fear into people, and they're wrong every time. And they never go back and correct what they were wrong about. They just come up with new videos and new dates. And people, these idiots, watch it thinking that they're real. Telling you, and they got part of it right. Yes, they definitely got part of it right, but they ain't got the whole thing right. And civilization is not going to come to an end. It hasn't, and it's not going to. And then, you know, the scientists and all say it all the time. Well, the Mayans, they just disappeared, and this civilization just disappeared. What makes you think they disappeared? What makes you think that they weren't so in tune with the earth that they knew what was going to happen, and they went and they hid somewhere like you elite wussies out there are going to do when it happens? They knew they were onto it. They knew what they were doing. And you think God just destroys us and then puts us back again, and then destroys us and puts us back again? No, it don't work that way. Sorry. Do you think all of a sudden God destroys us and then the apes turn into humans again and it keeps happening? No, come on now. It's ridiculous already. It's all ridiculous. We've survived, and we continue to survive, and will continue to survive. And society will continue to thrive. And it's going to not be until somewhere in the 3000s that the earth completely ends up being destroyed. But by that point, when that happens, we will just relocate to a new planet and a new solar system, because we will have the ability to do that when the time comes. That's not going to be till like 3200 or something, another 1,000 years, over 1,000 years before that happens. But the shit is going to hit the fan, folks. So the psychic, the blind prophet that I found, her name is Baba Varga, I believe. I'm looking for her now. Baba Varga. And again, this article was recent. But somebody told me that I said that President Obama was going to be the last president of the United States. Now, I personally don't recall ever saying that. It's very possible I did, sure. Because as I said earlier, when I do my predictions live on the radio, things come out of my mouth. And I don't remember all of it. So yeah, it's possible I said that. But I know I definitely said that there was something about Obama that I could not put my finger on. I couldn't figure out what it was, but there was something about him that gave me a really, really bad vibe, a horrible vibe. And again, I couldn't figure out what that vibe was and why he kept giving me a bad vibe. And I feel awful because I voted for the idiot. But yeah, so I'm starting to figure out what I think the bad vibe's about. This takes me back to Donald Trump. Do you remember years ago when Obama became president, Donald Trump kept insisting that Obama comes up with his birth certificate. And it literally took them 6 months to finally come up with the birth certificate that ended up being nothing but a copy, not even a real birth certificate, a copy of a so-called birth certificate saying that he was born in Hawaii. Well, what about if Obama, I'm just hyper, what's the hell's the word I'm looking for? Just a thought. I'm not saying this is true or anything like that, but just a thought. Think about this for a moment. What if Obama really was one of these radical Muslim people that belong to the group ISIS? Think about this as well. Did you know that? Take a look at watch of the news. These ISIS people, these ISIL and ISIL, whatever the hell the difference is beyond me. But I know that there is a difference. Think about this: that you drive nothing but American vehicles, well, Toyota, that come from America, actually. All the weapons they have are United States weapons. All the machines, all the tanks that they drive, all the military trucks that they drive are all United States property. How the hell do you think they got that stuff? We say that we left it behind in Iraq. Come on now, folks. I mean, we're Americans. We're not stupid. We don't leave millions and millions of dollars of worth behind in a country that we're waiting. Hello. We left it there for them, people. We left it there for them to take control, for them. ISIS is a creation that was created by the United States to take over. It destroyed the whole infrastructure of Iraq. And the funny thing is, too, is a lot of people don't realize this either, and this goes back to the Luciferians controlling everything. The Sumerians, who were the first civilization on the planet, that go back to the Iraq where their homestead was, and the most ancient relics in the whole entire world are in Iraq, which it is believed that our civilization as human beings actually began in the Middle East and around Iraq. And one of the oldest ruin sites that they have that discusses how humans came into existence and how we were put here by the Enochian people and the Sumerians that followed soon after. The first thing our troops were told to do when they went in there was to destroy all these ruins. But now you see on the news, if you watch the news and the crappy media lies, they're telling you that ISIS is going in and destroying all these things and destroying these museums. We already did. We already did it 10 years ago when we went into Iraq. The first thing that our troops were meant to do, the first thing that they had to do when they invaded the city of Iraq, whichever city, Baghdad or whatever, the first place they had to go was to the, what's it called? There's a museum there, an ancient museum in Iraq, I think in Baghdad. And it's a museum that supposedly contains all the knowledge where human existence actually began. Not only were we meant, our troops were sent there to destroy that museum, there were Iraqi soldiers all throughout the museum defending it, protecting it. What were they protecting? What were they protecting inside a museum instead of protecting the people outside of the museum? They were protecting something. And there's all kinds of stories out there, again, that there was a Stargate, there was a time travel machine, blah, 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 blah. But there's something there, without a doubt. And again, just ask any of the troops that were actually there, that were a part of this, that couldn't understand why one of their orders was to go in and destroy these ancient museums. The museum in Iraq that was destroyed was the most ancient relics on the entire planet that shows the evolving of the human race and where we came from and who put us here and all the details about it. And they don't want you to know that. They want to destroy every aspect of it because that's God's creation. That's where we began, and that's where God and all that comes from. And remember, I told you earlier, it's all about destroying God's matrix and coming up with their own matrix. And in order to do that, they need to destroy all of God's creations and all the ancient relics that have anything to do with God. And you can mark my words here as well. I really hope it don't happen because I want to go so bad, but I'm thinking that in this lifetime, it's probably not going to happen at this point, but ancient Egypt. And I have a really strong feeling that they're going to go in there and they're going to destroy everything. I pray that they don't. That is my home. Like, I feel like I belong there because I know I go back to past lives there. But they're very close to Egypt right now as well. And I believe that they're going to go in there and destroy it all. Or they're going to try at least. They don't want that to be there, especially the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid is an energizer for the planet. It actually literally balances out the energy of the planet. And it's not the only pyramid on the planet that does so. There's pyramids in China. There's pyramids all over. There's a pyramid right off the coast of Cuba, deep down in the ocean, thousands of feet. And it's a complete pyramid and a complete replica of the Sphinx and Great Pyramid of ancient Egypt. And also the pyramids in ancient Egypt, along with the three mesas in Arizona, which is the sacred territory of the native Indians, the Hopi Indians to be exact. All of these structures are actually aligned to Orion's belt in the solar system. And Orion's belt, that center star, the bright one in Orion's belt, is where Pleiades comes from, and the people who are responsible for putting us here. And so for the pyramids and even the three mesas, and a mesa is a flat mountain, so that's just kind of just odd. It's like they were put there or something, but they all align to Orion's belt and to Pleiades, which tells you something right there as well. Well, the Pleiadians have just come back to the earth to help us once again, to help things shift in a better direction. But you got to watch, because a lot of the UFOs that are seen today are actually either our own government or they're actual holograms, because our government has the ability to do holograms now. And again, it's all about putting fear into the people. So let me tell you about Mrs. Baba Varga and what she said that really disturbed the hell out of me. If it's true, again, I'm not sure what's true and what's not true and what to believe and what not to believe. I just know what my predictions are and what I believe. Oh, what the hell's going on here? Oh my God, what happened? Oh, go away. Stop. Thank you. Again, I'm not sure. Oh my goodness. So Baba Varga says in the predictions that I read that, and remember, she said these back in the 90s and pre-90s, way before she died. 2016, she said Muslims will invade Europe, which will cease to exist as we know it today. The ensuing campaign of destruction will last years, driving out populations and leaving the entire continent almost empty. So first of all, that makes complete sense to me, because I keep seeing these large explosions going off over in Europe. One of them being right near the Eiffel Tower in Paris, which I do believe that they're going to try to take that down completely. It's a big structure. They're going to try to destroy it. Just like the Statue of Liberty in the United States, they're going to try to destroy that as well. And I believe very soon that they're going to try to drive a boat into it to try to blow up the island. But they probably won't succeed, because they don't realize how much explosives they would need to be able to do such a thing. But also, I see these large explosions going off simultaneously over in Europe, and I've been seeing this for a while. Not sure if it's in my predictions or not, but it would make sense to me that they would set off several large bombs that I believe are nuclear. I believe that they're not as nuclear as our nuclear, but enough to really put a job on Europe. Also, I see these going off at the same time in different countries and different cities in Europe. So I believe that will be part of their plan in installing the fear in the people. But also, somewhere along the line, she said that United States 44th president would be a black president, and that he would be the last president of the United States before the Muslim world takeover. And look about it. Look on the news. Look at everything. You see it. You see it happening. It's already happening in Europe. They're already invading Europe. It's already happening. So again, I don't know if this prediction's real of hers or not. I looked up her predictions. I didn't have a whole lot of time to do it, but most of them of what I read were all put up on the internet in the past year. So it could all be BS. But again, this aligns with my predictions and aligns perfectly with some of the prophecies of the other prophets, and also aligns with the book of Revelation in the Bible as well. So it's kind of creepy, especially being that she said that he would be the last president. And a lot of the rumor out there on the internet and such is that Obama will call martial law. And if a president calls martial law, first and foremost, your Constitution is now null and void. It goes out the door. Your Constitution no longer exists at all. Also, if he calls martial law, he can stay in power for as long as he wants. And something that people aren't aware of is that back after World War II and the bringing down of Hitler, the United States brought over 200 of these Nazi soldiers that were also scientists that are responsible for NASA. And our whole flight to the moon was all because one guy, but many of them, 200 of them again, were all flown here and given freedom, or whatever they call it, when they should have went to jail for their horrible horrors that they caused. They were given freedom in return for them to live here. But why? Why would you give freedom to people that are supposed to be in jail rotting? There's something in it for them. And part of what's in it for them is the smartness of the one scientist who is responsible for the whole NASA space program. He's responsible for rockets in general, period. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't even have what we have today in technology as far as rockets and so are concerned. So kind of interesting if you really, really think about it. Also, it says in her predictions that the Earth's orbit will change, which I've said that the poles are going to shift and everything's going to shift with the Earth, and it's going to be the Earth changes. It'll be more destructive than anything. She says that by 2025, the population of Europe will reach pretty much zero, which would make sense to a nuclear bomb going off, because if there was a nuclear bomb, people wouldn't be able to live there anymore. They wouldn't be able to be there anymore. Also, she said that, of course, world water levels will rise and polar ice caps melt. That's already happening. She says 2033, but it's already happening, and it's been happening for a while. And I've said many times that I see New York City underwater completely. I see New York City underwater completely. Parts of New Jersey underwater completely. Along with, Florida. Oh, yeah, Florida. Florida, I see underwater as well. And probably others as time goes on. So that would all make sense to the Earth changes aspect. But now here's what the really disturbing aspect that really matched my predictions perfectly. She says 2043, and I think her timing's off a little bit, and I think she's a little far out, actually. It should be sooner. Europe's transformation into an Islamic caliphate is complete. Rome is named the capital. The world's economy thrives under Muslim rule. That disturbed me. And I'll tell you why that disturbed me. That disturbed me because I said that the Pope would be the last Pope that we have. And think about it. If you were a new religion like the Muslim religion or the Luciferians, their whole objective is to destroy Catholicism and Christianity completely destroy it. And what would be the best way of doing that, especially with Catholicism? To rush into the Vatican, kill the Pope, and take over the Vatican and make it their homestead. And she says right in her predictions she doesn't say kill him and all that, but she says that Rome becomes the capital for the Muslim religion and the Muslim rule in which the economy thrives under. What's that tell you? That tells us that there's one world religion. If the economy thrives under Muslim rule, there's one world religion, there's one world government, and there's one world monetary system, money system, which fulfills their dream, the Bush and all the rest of those sickos' dream of this new world order that they've been planning for quite some time. So her saying that again just totally freaked me out, because it would just make sense that they would do that, and that it would make sense to my prediction of the Pope and of the Catholicism and Christianity collapsing completely. The good thing is about it is that eventually there will be somebody that will come out of the ashes to help save us and bring humanity back to Christianity and back to the old ways of doing things. But in order to do that, there's going to be big changes that are going to happen. So this is their plan. Their plan is to start over in Europe by collapsing the financial system. The banks are going to collapse. The whole financial structure is going to completely collapse, starting over there in Europe first. Once that happens in Europe, it's going to continue throughout the world, and the whole world's economy is going to collapse completely, which in turn will make money worthless. It'll make gold and silver worthless. What's going to be worth its weight in gold is going to be water, food, and believe it or not, seeds for planting, so that when we do come out of the ashes, we have something to plant to start growing our own food again. So, and doing things the way we should be doing them to begin with. So really, really interesting, huh? I thought it was really interesting to share that with you tonight, because I do believe that that's how they're going to start it, and that they're going to start it with the collapse of the financial structure, so that people start to go crazy, fighting over food, fighting over water, and giving Obama the opportunity to call martial law. And if he were to do that, then that would fulfill her prediction of him being the last president, because he would end up becoming the president for good. Because as long as there's a martial law, he can stay president forever until he uncalls martial law. But also at the same time, if he called martial law and tried to take back our guns, they know people are going to fight. People are not going to give up their guns in the United States. And look over in Europe, in England especially, they don't have guns. They took their guns away from them a long time ago. Their own police department don't have guns. What's that tell you? Means it's going to start over there. Of course, they have prepared for this. Probably decades and decades ago, they prepared for this. Maybe even 100 years ago, they prepared for this. They can't fight back with no guns. And those that fight back are just going to be shot and thrown in one of those caskets that fit 3 people. So when is all this going to happen? That is the question. And I believe that it was already supposed to happen back in 2012, but I also believe that their plans are failing terribly. Part of Obama's plan to try to call martial law was to cause a major racial war, actually. That was part of their original plan, with the media and everything they put on the media, which is mostly lies and bullshit. But we watch it, we listen, and we believe it, because we're taught to believe it. And it's mostly all bullcrap. They lie about everything. I am so tired right now. I'm falling asleep. So the world takeover. So once they do that, they can call martial law, because the American citizens would go out of their friggin' minds, killing each other for food and water, especially those that weren't prepared for this at all. Their medications are going to be cut off completely, because there's martial law. There's no pharmacy. There's no trucking to truck the drugs in. So that would all be cut off. People would go nuts. And then they'd come along with their buses and their military people and either shoot you or put you on the bus and ship you to a FEMA camp. In turn, giving them full control of the planet as they choose to do so. So here's what I say to you. If it were going to happen that way, and here's the positive aspect to it all. In my predictions and in my meditation, I remember very strongly, especially years and years ago before Obama became president, I said that Hillary Clinton would end up in the White House eventually. I keep seeing her still to this day in the White House. Now, even though she's still one of the devil worshippers, or no, that's not correct because it's different, but a luciferian like the rest of them, Illuminati or whatever the hell you want to call them, she's a big part of that. Of course she is. Clinton was in the White House. There's video of Clinton, Bill Clinton talking about the New World Order, just like both of the Bushes. They talked about it. They've said it many times of causing one government for the world, one money, and one so forth. So this has been a plan of theirs for a long time, but their plans keep failing on them. They keep backfiring on them, and things that they've been trying that worked before are not working anymore, and that's causing them to begin to panic a bit and try to rush things even quicker because nothing's working. Their plans keep backfiring and failing on them. Somebody said to me, we were talking and debating as to when this would happen, if it were to happen before Obama leaves the White House. And I think it was my friend Keisha, I believe. And I think she said during the summertime. I think that's what she said. But I say, think about this. It's all about Christianity and destroying Christ, destroying Christianity, destroying the whole existence of Jesus Christ, where the Bible says straight forward, not to turn from Christ and not to turn from God. And I think that's a big problem with the planet is people have begin to lose their faith and lose everything. I'm not saying to run to church and start praying to Jesus tomorrow, but at least having some kind of faith in your heart once again, and knowing that the afterlife exists, that it's a wonderful, beautiful place, and that you've come to this planet to be a part of the big, amazing awakening, and also to help save the planet at the same time. Because only us together can save the planet. When the crap hits the fan, we need to gather together in a community, working with each other, making our own food, doing all those wonderful things. I'm starting to fall asleep, my Lord. So my concept on it is if it were to happen, and again, I still have good faith in my heart, believing that Hillary's going to be in the White House. And if that's true, then the plan as they have it isn't going to go into store before Obama leaves the White House. But if it were, when would they do it? I believe that they're going to do it on Christmas, right at the Christmas holiday. Remember, it's all about Christ. The birth of Jesus Christ is Christmas. It's all about destroying Christ. It's all about destroying religion and making one world religion. So what a better time to do such a thing than at Christmas, to destroy the whole Christianity concept and the whole Christmas concept. So that's what I would think. Also, there's another reason why I believe they pick Christmas. It's the winter time. It's cold out, and it's much, much harder for people to survive in the cold, especially once this all happens and they were to cause martial law. The next thing they're going to do is they're going to cut off your cell phones, and they're going to cut off the whole entire electrical grid, giving nobody power anymore, no electricity whatsoever. So how are you going to cook your food? How are you going to see? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? You're not going to be able to do it. And that's their plan, so that you're not able to do it, so that they can come and put you on your bus and ship you to one of their FEMA camps. Unless you're one of the good citizens that they end up allowing to survive and continue to be a debt slave to them and the Federal Reserve and all the other jerks that run this country and run the world. So here's what I say to you folks. Prepare yourself. It's good to be prepared in any way you possibly can. I've been against guns for a long time, although I have a shotgun, but that was passed down in my family, and it's the only reason I have it. But now I have lots of bullets to go with that shotgun, and I'm actually going to a gun show this weekend to purchase a few other guns for my own personal protection. I'm against guns, but now at this point in the planet, I think it's very important that you protect yourself in any means possible. Also, I thought of this really good idea today, a crossbow, kind of like on the show The Walking Dead. They don't use guns because guns are loud and guns bring people. When they hear a gunshot, they know there's somebody nearby. So gunshots aren't always the best resort, but a crossbow, now that is a good resort, because you could take people out and nobody would ever know it if you had to. And it got to that point. They have mini crossbows and they have big crossbows. So having some kind of way of defending you and your family is going to be really important. A crossbow, when the government comes to take your guns, they can't say you have a gun when you have a crossbow. And a crossbow is much different, and they're not going to be outlawing crossbows. They're going to be outlawing guns so that you cannot fight back. So I say to you to make sure that you're prepared by finding a place. Where would you go? when this all happened, because you're going to have to hide, because they're going to go from household to household and make sure that each house is empty and rip out whoever's in that household and again stick you on the bus. They're going to make it look like it's all for your good and it's all for your benefit. But once you're on that bus, you're done. You go where they tell you to go. You do what they tell you to do, period. So having a place to go and hide, a place to resort to if something were to happen, number one. Number two, the most important thing is having a very large, and I do mean large, supply of water and food to last you up to a year, at least a year, maybe even up to 2 years, so that you have a place to hide and food to eat while it's all going on the outside, and you can stay on the inside hiding and keeping away from all the ruckus that goes on the planet. So I already have my plan in store. I already know where I'm going to go, where they're not going to find me. And I already know where I'm going to be storing all my food and such. This summer, I'm going to work really hard on jarring all my vegetables and food from my garden so that I have it. A couple of things that I thought of, too, to help you out on this journey. I know that there's a place out there, I can't think of it, but they sell this great food, and all you do is add hot water, and it's great for survival food, and it's actually good food. But at the same time, think about things that you can have that don't take up a lot of room that you could eat for a good amount of time. I made the most awesome tomato marinara sauce, tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, whatever you want to call it. Best recipe ever. And I'm so in love with the sauce. As a matter of fact, when I'm done this show, I can't wait to go have some. I'm starving. But I'm actually going to be putting recipes up on YouTube as well, because people have been asking me for my recipes, because I don't have a lot of things that I make, but the things I do make are awesome. I definitely give myself props that I am a good cook, and I'm glad I am. But my sauce is just out of this world amazing. So something like that. I figure, one ladle full of sauce, or a ladle and a half of sauce, is enough for one meal for myself. And pasta. Just, one jar of sauce, a big jar of sauce would last me 4 meals. I can get 4 meals out of that sauce. And then 1 box of spaghetti, I can get at least 4 meals out of that, maybe even 5. So say 2 jars of sauce can last you over a week and a half. Something simple like that, that's good, especially if you can make it yourself. Jar it and store it. Things like that. But you got to make sure water is going to be the big thing, because water, you're going to need water to cook with. You're going to need water to drink. Also, it's a very good idea to have backup of several propane tanks, because you're not going to have electricity. You're not going to be able to cook food. Also, I highly recommend that you go out and get yourself a little propane camping stove that you can hook up a propane tank to and cook your own food on your own little propane stove, because you're going to need a way of cooking it. And that would be a good way of doing it, especially if you get the big things of propane. You can probably get several of them and keep them hidden pretty well as also. The other thing is you're going to need a little heater that also runs on propane. So a list of things just to prepare yourself, just because, we know a fact. Talk to any financial expert out there, talk to anybody out there. The financial system is going to collapse. It's going to happen. It's bound to happen. And when that happens, it will wreak chaos on the planet. People, when there's no money to buy food, people are going to be fighting over food. And that, again, is part of their control thing. Did you know 40% of Americans eligible for food stamps are on food stamps? And disability, we have disability and all that to go along with it. They do that on purpose. That's part of their control thing, to keep you under control, to keep you a good little debt slave, a good little puppet to their little system. So I wanted to share that information with you tonight, because I thought it was of the utmost importance. Now, again, I don't believe that it's going to happen that way. Honestly, I'm really praying that it don't, and I'm hoping, and I'm trying to see a brighter future, because I do believe all of us visualizing together for a good positive change to the earth, because the change is going to happen. There's no doubt about it. It's going to happen. It's just to what extent it happens is really the question. To what extent, how long it'll last, and so forth. And we'll know, because it's going to all start in Europe first. And you'll know right away that when the crap hits the fan and you start to see the declines in the stocks and such, to make sure that you are prepared and that you have a plan. And if you have family, especially little ones, have a plan, have an escape plan, have a route. If you have a basement's a good place to keep hideout. But like I said, they're going to come to your house, they're going to knock on the door or rip your door down and search for you and clear it out. So you have to have a good place to hide, but even a better place to hide all your food and such, and a place that you can hide for a long period of time. If you can hide long enough for them to come into your house and then leave, they're not going to come back again, chances are. So you'll have plenty of time to stay in the basement and begin your new life in complete solitude. You may also, and I meant to do this today, and I totally forgot. When I went to my doctor, I meant to ask him to give me antibiotics. I'll do it the next time, though. I'm going to start getting antibiotics for every single cause needed and have them stored aside just in case as well. It's better to be safe than be sorry, like they say. So it's really, really late, and it was really important that I get this out, and I'm falling asleep. And so therefore I'm going to move forward with ending the show this evening. Hopefully by next week, I'll have a new phone system in store. I'm working on a new internet phone system that I can use for my radio phone system so that I can have people call. I tried to do it during the break when I took a short break, and it's not going to work with my cell phone. It's just not going to work, and people aren't going to be able to hear you, and it's just going to be a big pain, and it's not going to make it good for a good show. So I'm not going to take any calls. Unfortunately, I apologize for that. But next week, I will dedicate the whole show to taking your calls. Actually, next week, Allison Bauman's on the show. So I will actually take an extra hour of the show next week after Allison leaves, specifically to only focus on taking your phone calls. Just because I love you all, and I didn't expect to be here this late, and I am extremely tired right now, and I didn't even eat dinner yet because I was running around like a madman. I ended up going to the doctor's and being in the office for 2.5 hours. It's just been a very frustrating evening with all that. And I'd rather not be in that frustrating energy when I'm taking calls and doing readings for you, because I want you to have me at my very best when I am doing readings over the line and answering your questions. And right now, I am not at my very best. I am about to fall asleep. I am exhausted. I am building a new pattern for myself with waking up at a different time and going to bed at a different time. I was a bartender for many, many years, and I was on that pattern for so long. Not so bad as it was in the past. Maybe 4 years ago, it wasn't so bad. Maybe sleeping until 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning and staying up till 2 in the morning. But I don't do that anymore. I'm trying to shift my pattern slowly but surely. And today I was up really early. So that's probably why I'm so freaking tired right now. I'm ready to fall asleep and frustrated because I was frustrated earlier, and Blog Talk Radio and everything else. So I want you all to have me at my very best. And next week, I will be sure that I am well rested, ready to go, and ready to answer all your questions throughout the day. Allison will be with me the first part of the show. Perhaps we may discuss a little bit about this. Make sure you look up a little bit more about Baba Varga and her prophecies and what she talked about. But again, it's very important to me to spread the word. That's what we need to do. We need to share this information with people, and we need to spread the word. It's the only way we're going to be able to do this. This is the only way we're going to be able to fight back and actually win, because they're the ones with all the weapons and all the good stuff. But it doesn't mean that they have to win. And remember, God's on our side, completely on our side. And God doesn't want to see his planet destroyed any more than we already destroyed it. He's not going to allow it, or she's not going to allow it to happen. So that's where I get a good vibe about it. Like, I do believe that things aren't going to go exactly the way they want them to, and that everything's going to end up backfiring in their face eventually. But that's not before the partial global takeover. The only thing I haven't figured out is where China comes into all this. I haven't figured that part out yet, but I'll figure it out. I know they have a big part in this, but I'm not sure how or to what degree. But China right now is basically the superpower on the planet. And China pretty much owns us, the United States. They own us. We owe them so much money, and we owe them so much of everything that they pretty much own us. And I don't know how true it is, but I heard maybe about a year ago that um, Chinese military have been lining our borders in upstate near Canada, the borderlines of Canada, that they've been building bases and aligning the whole border of the United States on the Canadian side with Chinese troops. Again, I don't know how true that is, but if it is, that's kind of interesting and spooky at the same time. Because folks got to admit it, people around the world, they don't like Americans. They hate Americans. They don't like us because of what we do to them and to other countries. Like we went into Iraq and destroyed all their people. And the worst thing that we did besides that is when we went into Iraq, the first things we did besides destroying their museum was actually destroying their infrastructure. First, starting with their water, their hospitals, we killed it all, knocked it all out, destroyed their whole infrastructure. And you do that to innocent little kids, all under the term of whatever Bush said back in the day, his New World Order. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what they did to those people. And the United States is also about to get a hell of a lot of karma that's way overdue to it. And I hope that I'm not here when it happens on this planet, but chances are I will be. So check it all out. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight on YouTube. I hope you like the YouTube broadcast. Again, I'm going to start doing it this way from now on in, I believe. I believe that tonight might be it for Blog Talk Radio. I think that they kind of pissed me off for the last time. And I was already tired and exhausted when I started. And for them to screw me all up again tonight, like they do every week, I think that's a sign that it's time to wean completely away from Blog Talk Radio. And I kind of like it here better. Do you folks like it here better? We still have a chat room and we can still communicate with each other. And you can actually see me. You can see me. You won't be able to see my guests next week, but I'm going to do this again next week. You'll be able to hear Allison through here. I'm going to figure out the way of doing it. I'm going to figure out a way of taking your phone calls in a good, easy manner. I'll figure it out. I will figure something out, and it'll be really awesome, and it'll be really cool, and I'm looking very, very forward to it. And I'm looking forward to change, positive change, and good things. But please, folks, share this. Make sure you subscribe to my page, please. YouTube, go up top, click on subscribe. That way you will be able to get updates from my YouTube. Again, I'm going to be posting some amazing cooking videos. I already actually did some of these videos at the end of the last summer. I just had never had a chance to upload them and edit them and get them out to you. But I do promise you that I will get them out within the next few weeks, at least one of them, especially the one for the amazing sauce that I just made. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook. You can find me under Psychic Medium Joseph Tittel on Facebook. On Twitter, you can find me under Medium J Tittel, Tittel. Sorry, I'm a little sleepy at this point, so I thank you all again so much for joining me tonight. And I look so forward to joining you again next week. I hope I was able to enlighten you some about what's going on the planet. There's so much more to talk about and so much more that I could tell you about, but it's late. I'm tired. I'm hungry, and it's actually past my bedtime now. So I wish you all the best. I thank you once again. Namaste. I bow to you and the divine within you all. Good night, everybody, and God bless. Have a fantastic, beautiful week. Remember, celebrate life. Celebrate you, spread your love, spread your light, and spread the message. Good night, everybody. Peace to you all. Love to you all. Till the next time. Until we meet again. Good night.